Good afternoon, everybody. So it's my pleasure to welcome you on this occasion here. And thank you very much for coming here. And in particular, those who have come from far away, who are not living here. And I see several of my old colleagues. They're very happy to see all of you. And you know this, Dr. Satyanarayana, lovingly whom we call Satya, superannuating this month after spending 40 plus years in TIFR. It's really indeed a very long journey in TIFR. So, and his research career spread is really very large, very wide. Started his career from KGF. Then after KGF, joined D0 collaboration. We had the collaboration in Fermilab. There is a Tevatron collider. Then after successful completion of that project, then INO started the big project, which was really our pride. So, sorry? Yeah, in between CMS. So anyway, so to discuss, to know more very briefly about his research contribution and career, we have invited Professor Mondal to come here. And I take this chance to give you thanks for accepting our invitation, come here and share your thoughts about Shotta's research career. Shotta is not only confined himself within the TIFR research career, he had also several other interests. What we see, he plays a very active role in IEEE organization. He plays also various kinds of role in TIFR as well. One, for example, you see the ASSET colloquium. ASSET colloquium, you all agree that this is not the colloquium. The topics covers not only the science and technology, it covers all areas, literature, history, architecture, sociology, adventures, several things. I think we are very lucky to listen variety of talks just before the weekend starts. And although I am not a regular listener of ASSET talks, but I try to follow even at the YouTube and also the over Zoom. Shotta also played a very huge role in various kind of administrative duties. He was part of several committees where he had contributed constructively, very positive way. But I think these are the things what I'm touching upon, and more we'll learn from all of you. And other thing is that in the department, his role is scientific and other role is enormous. His scientific role, I think I will listen from Professor Mondal. But his understanding, his knowledge about the various rules and guidelines, those exist in TIFR, it was really very enormous. At least it was beneficial for me. When I became the chair, I was completely ignorant person. So in various occasions, I really consulted him. I got help. In various occasions, I talked to him. He doesn't know why I'm talking with him, but I just got the things from him, what I wanted to know. Okay, he helped me tremendously in understanding the subject, in understanding the various uppers also, where the technological things are involved, very critical things. His presence in the department meeting also adds some values in the discussion. His argument with a very strong rationality, it helped us to sort out various matters. In that way, he was very important, very helpful person for me. Other than that, his entire hard-working ability, his dedication, his technical knowledge, his skill, is everything has made a huge impact, long-lasting impact on us. We really very grateful to him. And I am not going to elaborate more. I think you guys know better than me about him. So I'll just leave it to you here to know various things from you. And I stop here. But before I stop here, I just share with you how did we really plan this program. We have invited Professor Mondal formally to speak about his research career. Where is Nagaraj? Where is Nagaraj? Okay, so Nagaraj will tell about maybe some anecdote and something. He's a very personal friend who is working with him for a long. And then we'll ask you guys, we'll open the floor. If whatever you want to share, you share with us. Before we go for the actual proceedings, I see our director, Professor Jairam, is already here. I will request you, Professor Jairam, and then Professor Trivedi and Professor Maitidin NSF to say a few words before we get into our actual proceedings. Professor Jairam.
I'm sorry, I'm going out of script. As usual, my usual habit of asset colloquium. Just will take 10 seconds before. So on my part, I want to.
I'm not retiring.
You are not prepared.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
It's
much.
a very, very exceptional thing. Who is retiring?
No, I don't have shawl, so you are retiring.
It's a message. It's a message to follow him.
Thank you.
Follow.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Professor.
Yeah. Thank you, Manoranjan. I'm very, Satya was one of the few scientific officers from TIFR who I've actually known for a very, very long time. At the JMRT, I don't know, starting probably sometime in the 90s, we had a committee called the NCRA Engineering Committee, which looked after various engineering activities at the JMRT. And we had a few people from Bombay who were there to sort of help guide us and also tell us about things that they do on the Colaba campus, etc., which may be interesting to us. And I think you were there probably from the very beginning in that committee. And so, I knew about him. I've known about him now, I guess, for almost 30 years. And from the very beginning, he was a very dynamic presence in that committee. There was always something he had to add, some ways in which he could tell us either about procedurally, about how things could be done, or maybe even at a technical level, there's some suggestions about what we could look forward to and so on. So, so for me, he was one of the very, familiar faces in the scientific officers when I came to Colaba. I mean, in between also, of course, he's played many other roles at NCRA. I'm sure he's done this elsewhere also. When we had our planned reviews, I think you used to come to take a detailed look at our engineering plans and suggest, how things could be fine-tuned. I think occasionally when we had relatively sensitive matters also, we have called on you for your help, and it's always been, very generously given. And so, although I represent all of TIFR now, maybe on part of NCRA, I would also like to, thank you for your many, many years of help that you have given the center. There's TIFR is obviously made of the people at TIFR, and I think it's not just what they do, but how they do it, which actually sort of makes this institution. And we are going to hear from Nabo and others shortly about all the technical various contributions that Satya has made over the last several decades that he's been over here. And I'm sure we'll also hear about all the other ways in which he has been sort of, a big part of TIFR, from the asset colloquia, putting things up at YouTube. I know that he's a very enthusiastic sort of participant in many, many colleges, not just in Bombay, but, in this entire region, sort of giving talks, so on and so forth. And in all of these places, I've always imagined Satya as our ambassador, the ambassador of TIFR to these places, holding our flag high in these very, very different fora. And, and I think, in some sense to me, that's, a very defining thing about the work he's done. I mean, the technical contributions, of course, are very, very critical and important. We'll hear about them. But I think this also, to me, was equally important in, defining the kind of place that we are. And in the how, I think, you really bring, an enthusiasm to whatever it is that you do, a carefulness in how you do it. And I think all of these are things which set our culture. And, I think you very much symbolize all of that. So we'll miss you, but I won't say goodbye because even though you're retiring here, I'm sure the bond between TIFR and you will not break. And I look forward very much to seeing you from time to time at TIFR. Thank you. Yeah. No, but as Narendran said, there's a reversal of roles. I mean, you should be.
Sandeep, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. This is in the nature of things. These occasions come, they are bittersweet, poignant maybe. But today I suggest we really think of it as a great celebration of Satya and his role and immense contribution to the TIFR system. It has been immense. Let me take a minute. There are so many seniors and so on, I hardly need to say. But one of the things that makes TIFR so special is that we have this mixed character of being both an academic institution and a national lab. And that allows us to do things on a scale that a university setup cannot just do. And this is exemplified to a good extent by the scientific officers we have. Even if you go abroad to the US or something, you'll see labs struggling because they just don't have this kind of, cadre and what comes with it. And for me, Satya exemplifies the very best of what we hope to have in scientific officers. And he's really a role model. And I think that's what we celebrate in my heart today. I don't have the words. Thank you very, very much. What you brought by way of science, Nobho will say, but allow me to say it was a great privilege for me to be part of the INO management structure when I was up on the 4th floor. And I learned there some of the key crucial contributions you made in RPC detector and so on. Nobho will say more about that. And my respect for you, which was already high, went, really very high. The other thing about Satya is that he always is willing to engage in a positive way. And, I found that when I was in that position, there were occasions, there were sometimes sensitive matters. I would talk to him and, he always had a constructive, let's see what can be done attitude. That's half the battle won usually. And that attitude, I think Jairam also mentioned, that's something, again, you exemplify at the very high level. And finally, of course, there's just his sense of being a member of the TIFR community and going out of his way. For me, very well exemplified by, 2 decades as the asset coordinator. How much is it? 22 years, where you really reshaped that colloquium, I think. Just reshaped it to be much broader, of much wider interest, as came out in the session we had a few weeks ago. And I think that's a legacy which you leave behind for the wider TIFR community, for all of us. So just in the multifaceted way in which you have contributed also, I think you will remain a real role model for us all. Thank you very much.
Now I request Professor Maiti, Dean NSF, to say a few words.
Thanks.
I don't know if I have anything left to add. Satya is a very old name to all of us. Always really full of energy and so on. I think you look the same. I saw you in the beginning, so it doesn't give a feeling that you have become really 60 and going to retire soon. So equally energetic, and I think Jairam and Sandeep already elaborated all the aspects. So I thought, but I really, whatever I felt that I want to emphasize that TIFR's this unique character that we are supposed to be doing fundamental research at the highest level. At the same time, we build facilities here, and that whole thing. The flag is actually carried by our scientific staffs. So whether it's a big science project or so, building detectors and so on, anything electronics which are innovative, not available, starting from, I think, the building computers for the first time in TIFR. So Shritha is one of the integral, member who has contributed extensively. Apart from that, I think the INO, for example, I have visited several times, and the way you have contributed in coming up the facility, not only that, even the outreach, like every year we have huge number of students visiting this kind of facilities, and you have really played a huge role to teach them how to do. Even in Facebook, I see that you go out and essentially interact with students at a younger level and try to teach them or give information about how things are done. So that's really a great contribution. In TIFR, I think whether it's NSF or the whole TIFR as such, there are various bilateral programs we have. Even the concept note for synchrotrons and so on, all the meetings that we organize, I think the person who really, takes care of the arranging everything, starting from video to recording to everything, Shritha is one of the lead person. So really highly appreciate your of course, in the everyday morning, of course, you are seen this group of people walking around and so on. So I think his presence gives a lot of warmth to us, and anything that we require, if we need some help, he is the person who always down to earth, but full of energy and really contribute a lot. So thank you very much for all your contributions. And I hope you remain smiling and with good health all along, and keep on visiting us. So all the best to you and your family. I hope you have a great time ahead. All the best. Yeah.
Thank you, Carlo. There's one thing. Have you ever seen the Sutta is angry? He has lost his temper. In various occasions, in various meetings, we lost our temper, but I never saw Sutta lost his temper. Always smiling, a very positive attitude in all the matters. Anyway, now we start actual proceedings, and I request Mandar to coordinate this session. And first, Professor Mandal will talk, and then Nagaraj, he will talk about. Then we'll open the floor, and whoever will be. I believe that several of you will be interested to share your thoughts and to say goodbye or thank you to Sutta. But be very precise. Don't take too much time to talk about that, because I understand several people will be waiting here and also in Zoom, because we received the mail that they are interested to talk. They ask for a few minutes. We'll give you all the few minutes. But please be within the few minutes, because we have also the uppercut, 5 o'clock. Okay, thank you very much. Mandar, please take it.
So I think Professor Mondal is the most appropriate person to share with us.
I think we are all lucky today that we have among us Professor V.S. Narasimhan, who actually led us, and we grew up under his umbrella actually. So he's here. So I would request him first to speak here on, because he has recruited Satya. He has brought Satya to this institute. So it is most appropriate that he speaks first.
My appreciation in the form of an email, but I decided to come and read it out. Friends, it gives me great pleasure to attend this farewell function and say a few words about. This is not necessary, right? About Dr. Satyanarayana. As we worked together for 2 decades until I retired in 2002. So that is as long as that. I was there when Satyanarayana was recruited in our group and started work on the Polar Goldfield experiments. We recruited several electronic engineers at that time. with the aim of building a proton decay experiment at a great depth underground in Kolar. They all came out of colleges very fresh, but they started very enthusiastically, even though they were to work in a very harsh environment in Kolar gold mines compared to a TIFR in Bombay. But we didn't know really whether they had any reservations. But then when they saw several seniors and some colleagues from Japan all working together, I think they must have forgotten any problems that they had. The idea was to build all the detectors and data taking equipment, electronics, in the in-house, either at TIFR or in Kolar gold mines. These are customized to collect all the signals from thousands of detector elements in deep underground experiments. This is where the training has started for all of them, all of the fresh engineers, in which Satya was the prime example. Satya has quickly learned and showed promise to take responsibility in a number of areas. And I must say, he never looked back. He went on to make major contributions to the success of proton decay experiment. As you know, proton decays were not recorded either in our or any other lab in the world, but they gave rich and very new information on muons and neutrons. One of them is the neutrino oscillations that have been seen in Japanese mines or in USA or in Canada, because they required very large area detectors and highly sophisticated detectors. His contributions are equally important in our participation in the D0 experiment at Fermilab and also in CMS experiment at CERN in Geneva. This also involved building very large area detectors, scintillation detectors embedded with optical fibers, testing them in TIFR, integrating them into the accelerator experiments abroad, and he took a major role in that. He had also an important role in building the detector modules, the so-called glass RPCs of large area, and electronics for that, for the ambitious INO program. While this unfortunately fizzled out as a program, the research done, however, in preparing for it, like building a large prototype, probably it is sitting in Madurai, has led to a fertile training ground for many students and scholars who want to pursue experimental physics in India. Satyanarayana has shown his leadership qualities in many areas in which he worked in the course of this long and very productive journey in the particle physics program of TIFR and other areas that some others mentioned. His administrative role and abilities are no less important in such mega projects undertaken by us over the years. While handling many responsibilities here, particularly for INO experiment, he found time to go through the PhD program, which he cherished a lot, at IIT Mumbai for several years, and finally got it in the year 2010. Very creditable, I would say. To sum up, he transformed himself from a budding electronic engineer into a well-recognized experimental scientist and appreciated by everybody around him. I admire Satyanarayana for his soft-spoken nature, can-do attitude, as well as his multifaceted contributions. I wish him well in his future activities, wherever they are. And also I wish to thank him for his support to me in many ways, particularly after my retirement in 2002. Satyanarayana, we will miss you. TIFR as well as the group will miss you. but I think you will do well in future also. Thank you. Let me give you.
Thank you, Professor Narasimham, for your speech on Satya. And I'll just add with that because, we have all, as I told you all, we have grown up under Professor Narasimham from the beginning. And let me go back to the KGF days. And I joined in 1977, and then we are building phase 1 detectors. And that time, we had only few scientific people, 2 old person who were earlier also involved with the group, and we recruited 1 young person, called Punekar, and who was a scientific assistant. And with this mega help, we actually built the KGF proton decay phase 1 experiment. And then we realized that it's impossible when we took up the phase 2. And then we need to expand our scientific cadres in a bigger way. And we are fortunate that Professor Narasimham actually managed to get quite a few posts around that time to be filled up. And we are recruiting actually at that around in early 80s for the phase 2 that is coming up. And that is when Satyanarayana actually joined as one of the engineers. And there were others also joined before him, Manjunath, Mittal, and others, and some joined after him and around his time. And actually our group actually grew up in a large size, not in the strength, academic strength, but in the scientific strength actually. And we are all staying at Kolar Goldfield actually. So to be specific, Satyanarayana joined us in September 83. Right. So he joined us in September 83. And we are just at the midst of building the phase 2 detector and the detector already. And so he joined, young people came, we are all there, and we used to all live in the mess there. And one of the bungalows converted into a mess. And that's what we are living. And our duties were all 24 hours. So he learned actually from that time onwards, there is nothing timing. There is no question of your office time or something. You are there 24 hours. You have to go. You have to go underground in the night. You have to go. And that is where I was there. So that is the beginning. But it has given all of us. And when I'm including myself, because myself, Satya, all grew up together, actually, I would say rather. Okay? So we all grew up together. So it gave us a tremendous, actually, belongings to the institute, belonging to our detector, belonging to all ourselves, actually. We are just living there as a single family. And we are building, and then there was challenges, as Professor Narasimham suggested, that told us that you have not getting, in our field, we don't get detectors, go to the, sign a purchase order and then get your detector and set it up. There is nothing like that. Everything you have to build yourself. From proportional counter making, from design to designing the chips or sending it or assembling it, soldering the whole thing, putting it together, working it together, you have to do it. And most of it, you have to do it at KGF itself. Not even in TIFR. It's all done at KGF actually. And I'm not showing any picture. That is actually to tell you some sad story. That's why I'm not showing picture. Because I lost all my picture of the KGF days. Because I was abroad around 86. And that time I left all my luggage there in the basement of Bhaskara. And then a flood came. And then it got flooded. I lost my all pictures. So I have no pictures. So there's a different story. Okay. So lost. So that was all life. So you have to live with those also. So I'm not showing any picture, but I'm just going to tell you the stories. And then, but Satya actually, many people actually, when you join together, and everybody actually was putting in, every scientific officer, scientific assistant, there is no question of rank. whether you are a scientific assistant or an academic person or a scientific officer. Just you have to do the same work. So we have all learned from cleaning the lab to building our detectors. Okay, so we have to take jharu in the morning. Satya will be there, we'll be all there, take jharus and clean it up. Underground, we have done that many times. You have to carry luggage. I mean, you have to carry those proportional counters. Carry literally on your shoulders. Showing that is carrying those counters to the SAP, putting it there, taking it to the underground. And that is the type of training that Satya and Satya was growing up that time. Satya was slowly growing up that time. And his first project, if I recall, in fact, if you remember, if you are taking data, it was so dusty. Magnetic tape recorder of these days will work there. Nothing will work. So originally, even before Satya came, we are using only paper tape. So you just punching, 8 holes. You get, that's your data. So you bring it up and read it and that's it, and get your data. But when Satya joined that time, that we said that, okay, we should do something better, sophisticated. So the magnetic bubble memories were coming up. And Satya was the person who took up that project, that we have to convert from the paper tape to these magnetic bubble memories. And that is probably one of the first projects Satya was initiated to, and then he came up with that one in a flying color. So we had later on, we don't have to carry this big tape. Satya will go and take the data from in his pocket and bring it in a magnetic tape, in a matchbox size bubble memory. And that is our data for the last 2 days of running the experiment. And this culture was where Satya is slowly learning, and KGF, his contribution slowly, remember, enormous. Suddenly, he was, later on, he slowly became, overall in charge almost, he became almost, actually, Chatterjee was there with us as our officer in charge, but Satya was, in fact, continuing that, and after Chatterjee left, Satya was, taking charge of that one. By the time, of course, I left for few years, 3 years, actually, I was not there. And I came back and I saw Satya is in full form. So that was KGF, and then KGF has to be closed down. And then every details, actually, they are actually helping. So, such a big establishment running for 40 years, and suddenly you have to close it down because we have to come out of that place. And this is not an easy job. It's not even a scientific officer job. It's clerical, administration, and everything putting together, taking decision, and then what to do and not to do. And we can institute dependent on Satyanarayana and closing up that setup there. And so there's so many years establishment, and then we came out of that one. And then the next phase of life of Satya started and came to Bombay and a new environment, and all the sophisticated people like you guys all, and all have to live with them and and learn all the etiquettes of West Canteen. And so he was learning, because we are all, not shouting at that mess at Kolar Goldfield. Nobody cares. We live with laborers there. But then the next phase is that, the D0. And then our group also always have taken a challenge that we will not participate in an experiment, whether here or abroad, where we are not contributing in terms of instrument, because that is the culture of TIFR. And culture of TIFR is to build instrument, do experiment, and do that. So when we have the beginning itself, we have decided that we will have to participate on equal rights, and we have build detector. So then we again, we have proposals, what is there. Already main experiment was already started, but the new proposal was coming up. And then the muon trigger system and the muon tracker has to be first, actually. So that is where it is to be included with the scintillators. And then that project we took up. And again, so you have to build detectors here. And that is the time when we not only depend on us, because we didn't have the CNC machine that time, and we have to depend on others. So we actually interacted with BRC. Satya was the key again, all these things. And we have to set up the testing facilities here when we make those scintillators. And all these things, Satya was a key man, actually, person was participating and building, slowly setting up experiment here, setting up all these trigger electronics, trigger system for this testing, the scintillator detectors. And so we built that detector. Until that time, we have the culture of that, okay, people used to go, scientific, academic people used to go to participate in the experiment, but we changed that one and they said, no, I mean, we need people here at DGRO at Fermilab who will run our detectors and who will calibrate will monitor our detector. And Satya was one of the first scientific officers from our group who was the first to come to Fermilab there. And I'll tell you that his contribution there was acknowledged by all at Fermilab who are participating in that muon upgrade, detector upgrade. And that actually even helped me a lot later times whenever I have to get some recommendation later. I mean, it's just, I mean, I can tell it now actually, so that I'll get those letters will be just, many of you probably have read those letters and it's just coming with a glory. And because he has contributed there at equal terms, he has gone there and not only looking into our things, he will go and find work actually. So that is his, he's not there sitting there that, okay, this is all given to me. That's all, I'll do this much. That is okay, I've done. He will go and find work, additional work. Then, okay, and he will poke people that give me work actually. And I remember Ito and remember, huh? Yes, so that is that work that Satya will go. Yes, so he was no, and I'll have the pleasure of listening that time. They will come later and tell me, oh, what a guy you have sent here, such a man. So this is the type of the way he was training himself slowly and DGRO period. And then when it came to question of our together that both our groups together will participate in the CMS experiment again. What is the detector that we build? And we had a lot of discussion within the groups in the TIFR and outside in the CMS that what is the type of detectors we'll build. And then we realized that our help in the scintillators building for the DGRO will help it. And then we picked up that HO, outer hadron calorimeter detector to build in India. And again, Satya has contributed immensely in setting up the system and originally, to India, of course, many other people are there, but he took a very lead role and getting those splicing machine, if I recall there. And in between, I'm forgetting actually. And around later that time, we are just thinking about possibility of INO has started actually in our head. And RPC detector is one of the detectors that we are thinking of, we can possibly build. And then, but we didn't know much about RPC because first of all, it's a new detector. It's not, it's a one of the modern detector that has come up and not much is known. Only some Italians and some others or in Japanese, they have built successfully and everybody has failed. That was the news. And that is the time when there was a neutrino experiment was to be set up at in Fermilab. The name of the experiment is became later famous. It's NOVA experiment, and which was to send neutrino beam from Fermilab to the Canada border, and they'll build a huge detector on the surface almost. I mean, just a little bit underground. And then what kind of detector they will be using? And one of the early pick of them was the RPC detector. And we happened to be there, and then one of my friend, actually close friend, Adam Pada, he took a key role in that developing the RPC detector. And he put Satya, and Satya was actually visiting anyway for DGRO work. So Satya was, of course, will go there and then poke his nose and then find out what they are doing and what kind of things we're doing. And that is our really first learning exercise on the RPC setup and there actually. And Satya actually learned and probably has contributed more there. And because later, whenever Adam, he became good friend of Adam Pada, the guy who proposed that one. And Adam was always, we'll talk about Satya in a big, this way that how he has contributed there and so on. So this is our beginning. But of course, we are ourselves actually. And when I was saying ourselves, and I don't separate myself from Satya, I cannot do that one. My entire life in this institute is basically because I have had a person like Satya next to us actually, always. And you talk about, the science that we do. And actually, this is what you should all learn, that science is not done only by physicists actually. In a big science is not done by physicists, no here. And this is the contribution of so many different kinds of people. And some of them are engineers, maybe some of them are, but with with one single goal, that to build something and do experiment. And so Satya was molded into that culture. And then he joined us as an engineer. And slowly he was also changing over the years, his own, his experience and his own learning. And in that connection, when the RPC detector was set up, and we are trying to build here, and we are getting failure actually. So we went actually, and Satya and myself went to Crawford Market here to buy glass plates, and we bought some glass plates there and build according to the specification the experts have given us. All these are our RPCs, and it is a total failure. It was all failure. We have not been able to make it work. It's all discharging, continuously discharging. And then one fine morning, probably, we said, and then probably Satya get the idea that, okay, let's reduce the voltage and not work it in streamer mode anymore. Let's change that one and go to the avalanche mode. And boom, and everything started working. From that time onwards, every RPC detector that we have built was a success. And actually, but there was a learning exercise. It doesn't come in one fine day that you start making the detector. This also we have learned that failure is always part of it. When you're building something new, you have to accept that one. And Satya was ready to accept with a smiling face. I will be always basically, get depressed and something and go probably and not talk few days. But Satya will be always, okay, failure is there, so let's go something, move forward. That is how he was. In this connection, I remember that you are talking about his contribution about this asset colloquium. Only I have something to do with that one. Because in 2002, when there was somebody was needed, and the asset colloquiums are not regular anymore and happening, and then Deepak Mathur was the dean NSF at that time. Then one day myself and dean, then Deepak, I told Deepak, Satya is there, why don't you give him that responsibility? And Deepak agreed to that one, and he made Satya as the asset colloquium coordinator. And I don't have to tell anything else. You have the next 20 years history of asset in this institute. So that is how Satya is. Now, the INO is one experiment. Probably I could have even thought of imagining that okay, we could make it, is because I had the full confidence of that we have these people like Satya in the institute, and given the opportunity, he can build his group. By that time, he can build every group and this thing. And that is really the story. If you see, during the time we proposed INO till today, the amount of training he has given to new engineers, new students over the years is just what is enormous actually. And be it whether in the engineers building their projects in the lab, or the students in the INO graduate school to give them instrumentation courses, or giving them project, or bringing summer students, have designed project for them, Satya is there everywhere. You'll be doing this, and you'll be, my student, I don't probably talking to them much. They're all with Satya and working on that one. And every student, everyone who has gone out of this institute after interaction with Satya or spending some time with him, I think I don't have to tell anything. Even today, I can see their remarks, their comments about Satyanarayana, what he has done, and how they have changed probably their life, their thinking is just enormous. He has touched many hearts, and engineers, students, the physics student, doesn't matter. So then Satya is engineers, and he thought that, okay, and he himself come up with the result that I want to do a PhD. I said, fine. And then was looking for, unfortunately enough at that time, and that he managed to get this in IIT in Bombay, through their exam system. He has been selected as a candidate, but his thesis will be on the RPC development, and Raghav Verma was there, his co-guide for that one. And that was fine. I mean, his thesis topic, he'll be doing great. I mean, there is no question, but there is a problem. Before that, he has to qualify. That qualifying exam he has to pass. And he has to go through also courses like quantum mechanics and so on. Okay? And classical mechanics, quantum mechanics, and he has to pass it. And I think he will not give up. And I know how we are struggling sometimes, but he also has, Uma Shankar was help that time. He took a special this thing for him, and he came out flying color, even in quantum mechanics courses at IIT Bombay. And then he became a physics PhD holder. Okay, so that's all fine. In fact, if you ask me today, and it was there, my views, and some of you knows this view, that a person like Satya was an ideal teacher. He's an ideal academician. I don't see him as a scientific officer of this institute, as many of you see him, because what you expect from a scientist, Satya had it all. And in my views, the institute would have been benefited making him an academic members of the institute, but that's not happened actually. Some okay, whatever reason it is not. But I think in my mind, the Satyanarayana is one of the best academic person that institute has produced ever. And you have seen him. Now I'll give you about some of the details about him. Whether, and one of the things I have taken up actually, quite a few large conferences I have organized here. And again, I knew that I go and propose to IUPAC that we will organize this lepton photon conference. And they told us that, well, we'll give you the conference. And I told them that, look, Bombay is, not good for, July. So give it, that conference, we'll do it in December or some January, which is the best time for Bombay, for you guys to come to visit India also, that is the best time. But they said, no, we cannot change the date because this is a very traditional, series of old conference. You have to do it in the time, and July only. And, but then there's a question of whether accept that or give it up. He said, okay, we have to accept that. So we took it, a challenge that we'll do it in Bombay and July. And many of you have seen how we have succeeded. There was an excess. Actually, many people have criticized, okay, on this extravaganza or something. But believe me, it was all from the money that we have collected from the registration fee. In fact, there was the excess of 16 lakhs in that conference. And we had made that completely new. The new air-conditioned tent in that humid atmosphere, it will not get straight away going from on. Is all design, he gave me the confidence that just Professor Mondal, leave it, we will build it. And he was giving the example of what is happening in somewhere in Bandra Kurla complex, and given the picture and bring all the people. Yeah. Huh? So, yes, even everybody thought we are mad, that what we are doing. But we succeeded, and that became one of the talking, conference by all actually, even today. And of course, we have organized others and equally, so this is all. So, I mean, it's not just science that we are talking about. Anything you give it to Satyanarayana, he will do it to his thing. And later on, when I've seen that IEEE that he's involved with, and I don't know much about that one. I only read his posting sometimes and things like that. But from the recognition he has received, it is very clear that he is same Satya. And I'm not surprised that when all these accolade comes to him, that what he's doing there at that point. So he's just great. And Institute lucky that Institute got Satya in here. And it is actually, I would say that he got this 2 years extension. I think it is for the benefit of this institute rather than for him actually, honoring him. Institute got benefited because he is active till today. I mean, till tomorrow, all this thing, and he's doing. And that is he. So, I mean, I don't have to say any more much things, and you all know him. And I only have full confidence that I don't think, he's going to retire. And I don't think people should retire. And he will just only his phase change, and he will do anything, whatever he will do very, very, with same enthusiasm and continue to do good work for his entire life. And only thing I told him that you come with me to Everest base camp next year, and that will be great. Satya, and you have been an inspiration to many of us, and I want you to remain so for the rest of your life. And thanks Lakshmi here and his beautiful son and daughter both are there and they are a great family and give them a big hand. Thank you all. You have given me many times.
This is special. Will tell about all the secrets of
Hello, everyone. Satya, I am probably the senior most of your junior colleagues still hanging around here. So it's a great day and I'm really privileged to share a few thoughts or my experiences or my life with Satyanarayana. I joined in 86 July. So that's a very long association. So I will not be talking about, of course, his achievements, but I would really like to touch upon some points, some aspects that I have noticed, and I think everyone who has come across him would have noticed and should make it part of their general attitude. If you have seen his room on the top on his door, he has a slogan. Never. What is that? Today, no, not that. Every day is a day for you to become a better person. Not that he was less better yesterday, but that's how he improved every day. And people have described his achievements. So that's the basic quality that he has. The second one that I'd like to emphasize, Professor Mondal also said, is never give up. I mean, he has, for him, I think, yes, no challenge is too big. His leadership qualities and the way he leads us all by, getting our hands dirty in real field work and, the kind of inspiration that he just, the quiet confidence that he gives everyone to go on. In fact, when I came, I have not seen a CPU first time. That was the first time I'm seeing a CPU. And but then what? We very quickly we were, thanks to the wonderful work atmosphere that we all enjoyed in KGF, we all improved, and all our achievements are there for that. But apart from that, we had a great life together. We were all very raw bachelors when we came there. All of us, I think there were 20 or 21 of us. Most of us were actually homesick. And then we were a big family. And then, like Professor Mondal said, there was nothing like, work and home place separate. We all worked in the home place. We all enjoyed in the workplace. So that was the kind of wonderful life. Life and we had. I don't think that comes with any other than in such a field station there. We had great memories of, going for long jogs in the early morning, those miss, where will you get that kind of thing? So, those were the wonderful days. Some of us, I attended his marriage, and I can see Srinidhi, Sindhuja, Lakshmi there. Very nice to see all of you at time. It's a wonderful occasion. So I won't say much more. So Satya, I wish you a very, I know you will not be quiet or will be less active anywhere. But one more thing that I want to tell him is extremely meticulous in keeping records. You cannot, there's no other way you can build on success after success without keeping, now, if you want anything from the past records, anything photography, you just go to his website and it's there for you. Official records, anything. It's really, one has to actually learn from that. To how to be so meticulous and remember everything, and that's how you can lead. Also, you can't. You can't keep forgetting and then say, you are going to improve. So, Satya, I wish you a very, wonderful life after this, and I know you will be very active. There's no other way. You have also risen very high in IEEE. I know that. So wish you all the best, and Lakshmi, Srinidhi, Sindhuja. Very nice to see you all, and Professor Narasimham also. I mean, wonderful occasion that Professor Datar and all that. So, okay. So, wish you all the best from my side and from Shobha also. Very nice. Yeah. Thank you.
Professor Datar, can you please come?
Okay, so a lot has been said already. So let me add a few things. Of my own. I was associated with Satya from 2002 when the INO project started. It was actually CVK Baba who sort of told me that, hey, why don't you go to Math Science? There is a meeting there, and there are fewer experimentalists, so why don't you join this effort? So that's when I met Mandal. I mean, I had seen Mandal, of course, in TIFR, but I hadn't really interacted with him till then. And of course, I saw Satya and then Murthy, Rajshekaran, and so on. That was the first meeting on INO that I attended. And since that time, of course, we interacted more. I think since 2005, 2006, I started coming to TIFR more often on account of INO. Of course, I used to come here for the Pelletron experiments. That was continuing. That continued till about 2013-14. Okay, so the first thing that we did was on this RPC, right? The RPCs were failing because in the streamer mode, as Nava mentioned, the charge was so high that it led to, and there used to be some water, some moisture leakage probably from somewhere. And then that led to hydrofluoric acid, and that would etch the glass surface, and that led to sparking and so on. So then I think it was Mandal probably, or both of you decided that let's lower the voltage, and then it ran beautifully. At around that time, we also, I think, brought in a recoil mass analyzer or some residual gas analyzer from BRC. And then we found that there is a lot of water there, and that probably helped in identifying the problem. In any case, that is when my interaction started. Of course, it strengthened when I actually joined TIFR in 2015. And I shared an office with him, I think, for about 4.5 years or something. It was only in the last 6 months probably that I shared an office with Nagaraj. And it was a very pleasant experience. I mean, some people used to say, hey, you're sharing an office. I said, yeah, that's fine. There's no problem. And it was a very good association that I had with Satya. Very pleasant. He was always a smiling face. And as I said, everybody has said that, he's a very positive minded person and so on. So any problem that we faced, either in some purchase procedure or, buying something. Of course, even before that, I think we had to buy several things in BRC. And some of those materials could not be easily bought from BRC. So, of course, we would request Nava and Satya, and then they would agree that, okay, it could be bought from here. And then he would follow it up. So, I think some magnetic, the BH curve measurement, then the software, the 3D finite element software for simulating magnets, that was bought from here. And that computer was kept here. So, we would come here to do the simulation. It was very nice. And he had an answer, as I said, to all such problems. No problem, this will be done. And it will be done pretty quickly. Then, of course, when I joined here, then, of course, our interaction increased a little bit. And then this Madurai lab, of course, he was deeply involved in that. Then we built a small magnet there, a toy magnet, so to speak, because our goal was actually to build the engineering module. But we didn't find a place for that. Everybody said that, yeah, you can build it here, you can build it there, you can build it there. But when you actually go, they say, no. See, this place is meant for X, Y, Z. And so that place is out. So finally we said, okay, we have a lab in Madurai. What is the biggest detector that we can build? Okay, 4 meter by 4 meters. So let's build it. Because it's only after building things that you learn what are the problems. As Nava said, you think that RPC, the design is there, many people have built it, but it should be easy, no? But when you actually build it, you find problems. So the same thing happened here. But here, it was quite a pleasant experience. We learned some things which went very well, beyond our expectations. Some things we learned the hard way that, okay, this is not how it should be done. So anyway, he was involved right from the beginning. Then we went into this idea of building a veto detector, because at some point it was looking really desperate. I mean, the Tamil Nadu government was not allowing us to do anything in the Theni site. And so Murthy asked this question that can you think of a shallow or he actually said surface lab. We found surface is a little too much. So if you go 100 meters down and build a nice veto counter, then in principle it can be done. So we did a simulation. That was Nava's idea that or question. He said, no, but you should simulate it. After all, how do you know? So we did the simulation with one of the INO students with Govindo, and then we showed that yes, indeed it is possible. The signal to noise is acceptable, completely acceptable. Anyway, so we have come close to building that, but now it turns out that we don't have funds and that we have to dismantle the whole thing. But maybe these plastic scintillator detectors will be useful in some other context. If not in the engineering module or transported mini ICAL, maybe somewhere else, maybe some nuclear astrophysics or some other experiment. Okay, so this is something. I mean, I was also associated with him in some of these asset colloquia, because sometimes you would, the last minute or maybe 2 days before the asset colloquium, somebody would say that no, I can't come, sorry. Then you say, okay, then you cancel this. Once or twice, I don't know how many, maybe twice maximum, that I offered. And he said, yeah, why not? So I gave 2 asset colloquia like that. Just I had something prepared and hopefully they're reasonable. So the other thing was, of course, he is very good in his organization. I mean, if you look at his office, is quite unlike the office I had at both BRC and here. I mean, it's just so well organized. Anything that you ask him, you say, yeah, okay, maybe it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then he'll dig it up and say, yeah, this is the thing that you needed. Yeah, fine. So that is one aspect. It's extremely well organized. And the other thing is that, as I said, he's very positive about it. And he'll also point out possible problems. So we used to have discussion, okay, we have this veto counter, what could be the problems in that? But finally, we succeeded at least maybe 75% of the way, maybe because the electronics is still not done. Okay. Now, asset, of course, he has managed beautifully, and that I don't need to say that. But he also organized these talks during the COVID time. Okay. They were, of course, they had to be online. But they were organized again very efficiently. I mean, he would have a program for, something like 4 or 5 talks down the line. And several of us gave talks in that forum as well. And then, of course, I mean, if you have a question to ask him on a Saturday or a Sunday, more often than not, he is not available the first time you ring him up. And that's because he's talking somewhere in some college in a remote part of maybe, I don't know, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh or Kerala or somewhere, wherever. And most of his weekends are, I think, spent in talking to students in engineering colleges, in science colleges, and so on. So that is a remarkable aspect of his. And of course, I didn't know about his IEEE association till he got some award from the IEEE for his outreach program. And that was, I think, what, a year ago or something, a year or 2 years ago. Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of outreach, I think he's just done huge amount of work. Plus, of course, this fact that students come, and many students used to come to Madurai, but also to TIFR and other places. He has guided many students and small projects. And, along with other colleagues, we have built small demo apparatus for which we showed, I think, in this Vidyan Samagam series of exhibitions. I think 5 exhibitions took place. And in that, we had this small 8 detector stack of, so you actually see LEDs lighting up in cosmic muon. Students get excited. Indeed, the public gets interested in such things. So anyway, so that's another aspect in which he has done a lot in terms of outreach. But of course, the only regret I have is that 2 times I think I was asked to give a write-up for him when there's a possibility of his coming over to the faculty position. That didn't happen. I think that was unfortunate. I hope these things change with time. That, after all, a lot of physics depends on instrumentation. And I mean, it is as important to experiments as theory, right? So I think that should be given its due place in the scheme of things. And as Nava, I think, rightly pointed out, he's as much an academician as any other. And that was my only regret, because I remember 2 times I wrote something. I think Mustansir was the director at that time, and Rajaji also wrote. I think Murthy also wrote, and so but it finally didn't go through. Okay. So all in all, I think I had a extremely good association with him. Also during his PhD days, by the way, his thesis, I merely had the task of correcting some English or maybe putting some para here or there. And then it would go to Raghav and then it would come back saying that, no, these changes are not acceptable. So you have to redo something. Anyway, it was fun. So, anyway, it was all, so finally, I would like to say that I really appreciate and I greatly admire his capabilities and also our association together. And also I would like to say that, the family members, especially his wife, they must have gone through a lot because this guy is not around most of the time, right? And that is true of many, of course, experimental people, families. In my case also, I had to thank my wife because after all, we used to go to VC for 3 weeks. So similarly, in his case, I think you have played a very significant role in his success. So I wish you all the best. And I hope you will be still active in the future times. Thank you.
Yeah, Professor Govinda Majumdar. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I came late and one advantage is that what I am supposed to say, most of the things was already is talked by the senior peoples. So myself and Shatto, actually we know each other. I remember actually 2022 December, I visited this KGF. And Shatto was his officer in charge at that time. And another thing that our relation is not like anything. He never called me other than Govinda. I never called him other than Shatto in any fora. So that was our relation. So first time when I meet, I think the second week of December 2020, this is 1992. Sorry. Only I'm saying that day I saw something to Shatto to do. And exactly last Friday, we did exactly the same thing. Just closing another experiment. That time I see him, he is closing this one experiment, just he was in charge. I think Nagraj and others was also there, just closing this setup. And at the end, he was also doing the same thing. The last week also, we had the same discussion. Okay, so that's this one of the memory I would say that to me with him. Let's see this afterwards. Throughout my career, of course, we also work together like Mandal says. In, I think, 1993, the DigiRoo experimental start, and I also have to do this, my first year project, now what it called the DP1. And this was with the same 30 centimeter plastic scintillator with original shifting fibers readout. And that was the start. Okay, jokingly said that time Narasimha used to tell us, don't touch these fibers with the bare hand. So we have to use the gloves to touch the fiber. Okay, so that was the starting point of our interactions. So this is then let, for example, after this project a little bit, then I have to involve with this. My PhD then went out. And when you come back, again the same CMS experiment with this CMS HO, there's the detectors. That also we work together. And then of course, after 2006, there is no separate path for us in the last 16, 17 years. So people say that he organized everything, but actually I would say that he organized everything in his head. This is not in self and others. Just in that occasion, I say that suddenly, I think when you were just discussing, this is 1987, this supernova explosion Kamiokande sees. So people are asking what was done by this KGF experiment. So immediately says that time the KGF was, electricity was off. So KGF was not running that time. So I'm saying that this is not the organization. This is in head. He is that, everything is in head. Okay. So as Datar mentioned that, yeah, Saturday, Sunday, I said that, okay, in this stage, once I say that I don't like the word outreach, but there's the people who use that outreach, but Saturday, Sunday, he, without letting anybody else, he spent whole of his time to go to the different college and teaching the students. And I would say that that's the things we should do other than just telling that, okay, give me the project for the outreach, I will do that outreach, this big advertisement. I want that kind of things somebody want to do. I really appreciated that. Without anybody knowing anybody else, he patiently, as Datar says that, not a single weekend, I think he is in Mumbai. Means he is in campus. He just go in this Mumbai different college or other colleges. That's the way he did. And of course, all the other experiment and other things you already heard Professor Mandal and others. So I would not say this thank you or goodbye. We'll continue as long as we are alive here. Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, Professor Atul Gurtu, can you please say something?
Well, I think this is not really a farewell or a something gathering we are having. I think we are celebrating his whole career here, actually. Because the kind of things he has contributed towards, and right from, and I think he in fact mentioned that he is now the last person standing who was there from that KGF times. He's now still in TIFR, and he is also now going. So it says something of the old order changing. And we have heard all about, again, as earlier also people said, all his scientific achievements and everything has been talked about in quite a bit of detail, I think. And I think people know that. And again, I think what has impressed me most, and I see it on, Facebook, his going out outreach. But I think what I would like to say is that in spite of having such a successful career, having been recognized, it has not gone to his head. He is still such an unassuming person. It is just, there are people who will have a little success and then you see them sort of in a different frame of mind. And here is a person who has spent his whole life researching, teaching people, disseminating things, taking up new challenges, doing outreach day after day, week after week. And and then people recognize him, but still he is, what he was. It's quite amazing. It's quite amazing, Satya. So I don't think there's anything much more I would like to say, because really people have covered all the things which were there to say. So and I'm sure you're not going to retire. That people will not let you retire. And you will continue doing excellent work, helping out, doing outreach. And I think that to me is a very, very, very important thing. Because just to, disseminate ideas, try to inspire people, and especially the younger generation, that is, I think, one of the most important things. And so I can just say, wish you all the best in your so-called retired life, but I don't think you're going to retire. So to you and your family, all the best, and please carry on the good work. Thank you.
Professor G. Ravindra Kumar, he wants to share. And also, we will open up the floor for everybody else. Please let us know.
So Satya, if anybody deserves to be covered, it's you, because you have covered yourself with great glory. So please do not offer me this shawl. And also thank you for giving us this great occasion. Because of you, I'm seeing senior colleagues, luminaries in the field. What do we say? To these occasions, people get chronological. Oh, I knew this guy from, if it's something typically from the training school seniors, they would say 30th batch, 12th batch, 5th batch, all that, it goes that way. Some people get autobiographical. I knew him from that time. I knew him from, we did this thing together. But many of us have known you in ways that you can't even imagine, right?
And so today, for people who think that KGF 1 and 2 are movies, on Amazon Prime, it's good to educate them that KGF was really a pride of TIFR, something that maybe our generation knew very well and admired, but the younger people ought to know that what kind of efforts TIFR made, and perhaps we're not up to that right now. And that's a reality, but I think that's something to take inspiration from what you've done and set back on that path, right? We need to take it back to that level and beyond. So I think your contributions and all of you, what you have done, will actually probably set us on that path again. So I just wanted to say, and nobody else has said it, so you are Satya, right? So I want to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that is that life will not be the same again. From next month, I think everything here will miss you. People say asset, well, of course, very justifiably you're known for asset, but that's just a little of the stuff that you have done. For people like me who are not DHEP, who are not D0, who are not CMS, who are not INO, what are we? We are somebody who knew Satya and somebody who has benefited in ways that we can't describe from your extremely positive enthusiasm for everything, corridor conversation, best canteen, tea chat, whatever you say, or walking across on the morning walks will not be the same again, right? And some of your old colleagues are here. I'm sure they'll remember that too. So in ways that you can't even imagine, I think it's a wonderful career, and it's very justifiable that Lakshmi Garu, Sindhu, and Srinidhi are beaming with pride. It's rare that you hear so many good things about, and all round praise for everything that you have been and everything that you symbolized. And I'm sure everything you will be, right? So it's going to be terrible not to see you in the building anymore. But we always hope that you'll be there in more ways than one, right? And keep coming. And thanks for all the inspiration.
First I'll read on this Yashwant Gupta. Yashwant Gupta is the I'll read. I will speak. Okay. Yeah. So Professor Yashwant Gupta, Director, Center Director for NCRA, has sent a message for all of us. He says, "Dear Satya, thanks for your invitation for lunch on Monday 29th. It will not be possible to be there. Much I would have very much liked to. Nevertheless, my best wishes will be with you on this momentous occasion. A career of 40 plus years at the TIFR is a remarkable feat, and I am sure you will have a plethora of great memories of life and work in TIFR to carry with you, irrespective of your modesty about various things. I myself have enjoyed and benefited from the interactions with you dating all the way back when you were part of the NCR Engineering Committee for many years and used to visit JMLT fairly regularly. So one does a tinge of sadness that you are not going to be formally with TIFR from the next month onward. However, I am sure that you will continue to be as active as you have been, if not more, in your passionate area of reaching out to and educating the younger generations, as well as interactions via the various IEEE fora. In any case, I hope we can find various reasons and avenues to continue to interact over the years, and I hope to be able to meet you sometime soon in the near future for more personal interaction. Last but not the least, I hope you have found somebody worthy of keeping the Asset Forum running in the impressive manner that you were running it. With best wishes for the next phase of life, which is not going to be a life of passive retirement, I am sure. Yashwant. Thank you very much.
Maybe.
After me, the deluge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I first became aware of Satya, I don't know exactly when, sometime in the 90s, mid to late 90s, department meetings and so on. And this gave me the opportunity to recall
that I have an answer to a question that was posed by Manoranjan, which is, has anybody ever seen Satya annoyed? Okay. I've seen vague tinges of annoyance in Satya, and he was basically standing up and defending people from within his larger empire or group. Okay. So he was standing up for them. And that was important. Okay. That it was somebody has done good work, other people don't appreciate it. He's standing up and telling us all that this is good in such and such respect. Is one important thing. The other thing, Atul, I think, mentioned the fact that Satya has been grounded. He's basically had a certain sense of humility, despite everything that he does, everything that everybody recognizes as being exceptional. That humility, together with a willingness to engage with people at each person at his own level, his or her own level. And so this allowed him to network. He built up a parallel administration, and he could do things which you couldn't get done through the institute, through the regular channels. You go to the director looks up. In the old days, there used to be a little notebook where he would look and see, does he have room in the guest house to give you from out of his quota? No, there's no room. You go to Satya, he has some way of getting a room for somebody that you need to house in the guest house. Okay. So no, but this is, the point over here, the larger point here really is that there are things you can get done because you have reached out to people and made connect with them in different ways. And the institute is sufficiently large that there are portions of it which operate in darkness, right? So Satya had shone the light and penetrated into those areas of darkness, and he could get things done. Okay, so one other example of something vaguely along these lines. 2 years ago, December of 2022, there was this landmark meeting for the oldies, right? To come and visit the institute and stay here for some 2 or 3 days, listen to things about the last 75 years of the institute. And I couldn't get a room. Okay, so when Mayank told me you should, try with the YMCA or the YWCA, I did it. I did it the day their bookings were supposed to open, and they said, talk to us 1 week in advance. And so, no way. I mean, I did this week after week, and they kept telling me, try 1 week later, and nothing happened. Then I got in touch with Satya, and he said, yeah, maybe I can try to help. Eventually, of course, even Satya didn't manage to help. It was Kishore Menon who got me room. But the point is that there is this hydra-headed network, right? And he has it. And, the point is that he also has 36 hours in every day. So he can manage to get these things done while he's doing other things. So it's been a delight. I've been in the institute. I was in the institute a little earlier than when you joined. I haven't been in the institute longer than you. But it's a sorrow that I didn't discover you earlier, but whenever I did, it's been a joy after that. So thank you very much for these years of friendship and being a colleague on the DHEP. Now, unlike all the others, I'm going to give you something. So please come.
Yeah, Professor Pillai, please.
You're not allowed.
I wanted some information. Just 3 months back, and I telephoned Satya, and Satya said, yeah, I'm coming over the person later and we
Well, it's going to be very difficult to follow up after Krishnan. Okay.
That's why you wanted before.
Yeah. Okay. So Satya, of course, I came to know when Asset Colloquiums he took over. Before that, the only person I knew who ran the Asset Colloquium was Dinesh Sharma. In between, there were many others, but one doesn't recollect. So that's when one started interacting with him. And of course, at a later date, much later date, one also interacted with him when the INO racket started. Okay. But the INO racket, of course, went on for a long time. So I was also deeply involved in it for some time. But anyway, so the Satya was always, as you say, as everybody has said, a very pleasant sort of a soul to mix with. One could sort of rag him a bit, but he'll never get perturbed. And I did a lot of ragging. So, but the good advantage of Satya was that he was very helpful in many ways in the lab, electronics. So whenever we had difficulty, I used to send my staff to him to talk to him. So he was also very helpful in many little things which you cannot really, it's not very tangible, but you can see that he was very helpful. And also things like students, for example, suddenly there's no accommodation, then he put them up in Vadala. So I mean, as he said, Hydra with a lot of network. So like even in that 75 years, I remember, I also did not get a room. So one had to sort of go via Satya. Director's office now doesn't work. So one has to go via Satya. So me and Bajji shared a room, if I remember right. So Satya is sort of an all in all in many aspects, of course, but the main interaction, of course, has always been his electronics expertise. That has really been what I have actually been benefited from, and at least as our group also benefited from him from that particular thing. And the other thing is when we had these INO programs running students and looking after the students, hostel accommodation, because INO students always got the third-rate treatment because they were not considered TIFR students. So they had to stay in some godforsaken place called Vadala. And there itself also it was very difficult. So he used to always manage everything for them very beautifully. Okay, buses for them, stay for them, and so on. And if they fell sick, then what do you do with them? So you go to the director's office, they'll blink, they'll shoo you off to the dean will shoo you off to somebody else, and then you ultimately land up on Satya, and Satya will take care. Okay. So this was so Satya has always been a very helpful soul. So we will of course miss him a lot. I did miss him when I left. Now the institute will also miss him a lot. So my best wishes to Satya and his family. And I hope he has a very nice and fruitful second innings. So bye then.
Thank you, sir. On the Zoom, Professor Shashi Dunga. Professor Dunga?
Yes. Okay. So I think it's really hard to imagine that Satya is going to formally superannuate from institute, but anyway, it has to happen some or other time of the day of your career. And I had, I mean, when I was a student, that was a time when I had interaction with Satya, and when both of us were quite young and with a lot of bubbling energy. And, between my courses, Professor Narasimham told me that, okay, why don't you go to KGF and come back rather than, just hanging around here. And then, I was new to this kind of mega experiments, detectors, electronics. He said, don't worry, you just go and talk to Satya there. I mean, until then, I didn't know who this Satya is. But then that created a lot of curiosity that, that I have to go and talk to this person and then, things are going to be sorted out. So, what people are talking about Satya's ability to, interact with the students or, the younger people, it is not there, of recent time. I would say it was there, from day one, because I landed up KGF. This was my first visit. And he was the one who was with me all the time, explaining all the details, and not only explaining, actually teaching me a lot of intricate electronics, which I never learned in any textbook. And that's how actually, it made a lot of influence on my career. And I would say partly I will attribute to Satya that I got a lot of, I got deeply interested into the hardware and the detector component of doing physics. And that's how my journey into detector physics started. And thanks to Professor Narasimham and Satya for, getting me connected with that. And as many have said, Satya had been always very person with a very positive outlook. And one of the things which can explain the environment at KGF is the photo that Satyanarayan showed during the Holi celebration, that many of us, people from Japan, people from India, all of us gathered together and celebrated Holi. And he showed that picture with lots of colors. And in spite of my colorblind eyes, I could see lots of colors, and they are really natural colors. I mean, we really enjoyed our life at KGF. And I don't think those days we had ever again after that. I mean, it was a collective kind of living, doing physics, doing hardware together. Dr. Chatterjee was there, whom we used to call Chatterjee Saab. And Narasimham used to come almost, I think, once in a month or maybe at a more frequency than that. And this is how we were all groomed. And at least I can say that whatever we are, I think the seed was kind of planted in KGF. And then our journey began with D0 and CMS. And I'll just narrate a couple of incidences using within CMS. Like, we had to figure it out what the splicing efficiency is going to be when we splice those fibers. And that was rather getting a little bit tricky. And then Professor Narasimham kind of said, okay, why don't you look into it? And I had some idea, but when you have some ideas, the person whom you would talk again is Satya. Because Satya is one person who will take your ideas to the logical conclusion, either this way or that way. And he put in all the efforts in developing that software, and that idea really clicked. And that's how I think we did the splicing test of all our fibers. And the other thing was actually analyzing the data from the test beam. I don't know, Satya, if you remember, we had a data from ECAL and we had to calibrate those lead tungsten crystal in the CMS. And here the story was other way around. It was Satya who was trying to learn how you would do physics with the data that you have. And then we had a very close collaboration. And he, again, ideas which were again implemented by Satya. And Satya really took it to the extreme end wherein we could get the best possible resolution. And actually, he presented this work in the India CMS meeting. And he came back with a full of joy that people really appreciated what he presented. And I think the people of this kind is very hard to, I would say, see. I mean, all people have contributed quite well, but I think the kind of influence that Satya has made in our department or in our institute, I would say it's remarkable. And it was really my pleasure actually to have a people like Satya at KGF and people like Satya at D0 and at CMS and so on and so forth. And it had been really a wonderful journey collaborating with him. During most fraction of my career, later on, of course, he started working on INO and I continued my CMS journey. But it was really a wonderful thing. And just the last thing, I think, when I don't know if Sandeep is there, but Sandeep really appreciated our departmental report that was written during the review. And in fact, one of the chapter, particularly the hardware, which was one of the critical chapter, that was actually coordinated by Satya, and which was really kind of very well written and which was appreciated by the review committee as well. And really, I mean, when you're giving some task to Satya, you are sure that you are going to get the best possible outcome from that. And of course, we are still continuing our thing together. Just today, we shared one meeting, again at some college. And I really look forward having more closer interaction with Satya in future. And I wish him all the best. And I wish all the best to Lakshmi, Srinidhi, and Sindhu. I think I would say whatever Satya was able to contribute, I think his family members also have contributed a lot so that Satya could actually focus on his professional activities. So I really thank all of them and I wish all of them very best in Satya's second inning. Thanks, Satya.
Thank you so very much. Professor Amar Dighe, would you like to say something? Yes. We'll move on.
I didn't come here to talk, but to listen to what people are saying about Satya. Because after knowing him for last 20 years since I came, after every some interval of time, you keep on learning about some new facet of his personality. And while I was sitting there on the roll number 4, I did learn a few more things about him that that I did not know before at all. But of course, I have known him now for almost 20 years, almost since I joined here. Because of INO, I saw him working very closely. I've been always following his Facebook thing, which say, for those who matter for the future, right? That's a part of regular engagement with those who matter for the future. And that's really, really quite inspiring. Keeps you reminded that it's something that you must keep on doing, whatever science that you are doing. And another thing that I would mention, which perhaps has not been mentioned, is about the INO GTP students. I think he knows, at least he used to know every detail about what's happening in each of those students, each of their courses, where they are staying, whether they are coming to classes or not, when their lease is expiring. And exactly before something has to happen, he would take proactive steps so that everything would turn out to be fine. So I really admire him for his organization. Just imagining what's going to happen next and taking care of it before situation comes to an emergency case. And well, I think this is something that I learned from you, and we'll keep on following, see what you're doing, and we will keep on learning from you the kind of things that that you will be doing. So we will be watching you even after retirement. Wish you all the best. Wish you, your family, Sridhari, Sindhuja, nice to see you here again. And yeah, the best wishes for your future events.
Thank you, Professor. Atul Jain, are you there? Can you please?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. So I did not have like continuous interaction with Satya ji, but the time I joined, he was one of the senior most electronics engineer, and in TIFR, whenever I used to visit Mumbai from Ooty, we will have always some interaction on both. So he was so good that he will be always making the new person very comfortable. Despite I was not working with his group, I was working for the Ooty group, but always he would talk about all the personal things and as well as the professional things going on. And I think he was the among first few people who has invited me for a dinner in the TIFR housing colony. And from then onwards, I had an interaction with his family, and then we used to inquire about each other on many occasions. And slowly, one professional relationship also developed, because we were developing a TDC 32 module for CRL Ooty. And that time, I was kind of a very youngest member of that team. So along with Satya, KC Ravindran, and Professor Hayashi, we were working there. And I still remember the happiness when we did first testing in the room adjoining to C128 there for the JTech PCI interface card. In those days, it was the big thing. Today, for the young generation, that's very simple thing. But when we could successfully install and program, that's the first thing, happiness or success we tested there. And later on, a lot of interaction with him during his visit to Ooty, and when the project was successful. So there was a lot of learning on the way, and all those quality has been already defined or has been talked about by most of the people. So I don't have to repeat those things. But yes, I also indirectly have learned the things in my beginning of my career working with him. And those memories will always remain with us. At least it was always, even today, it is as fresh as it was like yesterday. We were working together on that particular project of TDC 32. So, and I wish you a very, very happy life in your second inning, and we will continue to be in touch. And all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Atul. Professor Vandana Anand.
So a lot has been said, so I'll be very brief. It's been a pleasure working with you, Satya, over many years for many things. We had both academic interactions as well as also good friendship. I think one of the things which probably didn't get emphasized is his role in the institute and the dealing with many staff members. He's been a mentor to many staff members. He's been on institute grievance committee for a long time. And whether he was on grievance committee or not, anytime there was an issue, people usually actually, referred to him to get things sorted out. And that, as well as what was talked about INO students, I think the empathy with which he dealt with many of these problems was very good. In very recently, one of the conferences which we did together was this International Conference on Women in Physics. This was completely online, and a lot of things had to be done in TIFR on the Indico, and it was like he was a one-point solution to many problems. And he's teaching a graduate course even this semester. I think you had a lecture today morning. Yeah. So that's the thing, and I'm sure that will go on. Your activities with IEEE is, of course, also very good. There also he has been working for a lot of aspects, particularly diversity in all aspects in coming in there. And I really have had very pleasant interactions with your family. So I'm glad to see them here. So wish you all the best and look forward to continued interactions.
Professor Kajiri Majumdar.
Yeah, I was sitting at the back and listening to others. So mostly I don't want to repeat. We, on behalf of all the others who have not said anything, but who also have the same feeling towards you and who all feel very nice and what should I say, related to you. So I want to just say that we all wish you a very good, happy, peaceful, but very active life as usual. What I feel is that coming to know you, we always felt proud about that. Okay. And more about that we belong to the same department where Satya is. So it is that type of feeling that, okay, the department is identified by Satya. So that type of contribution you have in this institute. So we all we strive to achieve that type of level in our lives, but we may not be able to get it. But anyway, so you are always a role model, and I don't want to drag along this. All the best.
Thank you, Professor Kajiri. May I know if Professor Sureshna Banerjee is there online Zoom?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You want to say something?
Yeah, sure. I should, of course, say something during this occasion. So Satya and I, as usual, have gone a long way since our D0 days. In fact, I joined the department when D0 experiment was just starting. And, through D0, CMS, and of course, I was not that involved in INO. Still, I had taught a lot of courses in the INO graduate students program, and everywhere Satya has actually helped me, not the other way around, but I always got help from Satya. And it was a very nice experience, actually. Any trouble I had, I could go and discuss with him, and we will together, or he himself alone would suggest some solution, and it worked out. So the only thing I would like to mention is that we also had started a series of conferences on the detector and instrumentation in high energy astrophysics and nuclear physics. And that had gone on for quite a few years. And actually, of course, I and he always discussed things together, but he did most of the groundwork and, the legwork, and made the conferences successful. And it was a very nice set of conferences because a lot of students were involved and I actually enjoyed them a lot. So then, of course, Satya will have an active life afterwards, as everybody else has mentioned. But I will say that Satya, you please take some rest before you begin becoming active again. This is something that you have not taken, I know. So take some time off, do some other things, and then come back and start your next innings. And all the family members, Lakshmi and the kids, I wish them all well. And I'm sure as Satya progresses, you all will have a good life in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vishnu. Professor P.K. Mohanty.
Yeah, we have more than 2 decades of friendship with Satyanarayana ji and his family. Of course, one unique thing about Satyanarayana ji, however busy he is, but he will stop for you and talk to you, chat with you. And one aspect, of course, we talked his many contribution to the institute and society. One thing which is not being told is contribution to the colony, being the chair of the Sibra committee, probably 2 times. And he gave me the opportunity to be the maintenance and sports secretary. And that is where we enjoyed, because all you know how well organized he is. And during that 4-year period, I think he has made a significant contribution to the colony. And of course, we have interactions during, during when you are also doing PhD, and then, actually, he does not hesitate like quantum mechanics or electrodynamics. We are solving together some of the problems. And one thing I am sad that we'll be losing a mentor and guardian from our HECR corridor. He was the last person in our corridor whom we are losing now. And so, of course, all the success would not have been, I am sure, without the support of the Lakshmi Madam. And I wish you and your family all the best for your future endeavors. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Mohanty. Ms. Mandakini Patil.
Good evening, everybody. I know Satya not from the KGF era, you can say, but from the TIFR era. So I know him for more than 20 years now, and I know his family also. So we are close family friends also. But as a colleague, I must say that I have learned continuously from him, having interacted during our HO detector installation and commission time. We did the XY radioactive test together. We had some overlapping trip deputation at CERN also. There also I enjoyed working with Satya. And again, one more occasion where we interacted more closely was at IIT Bombay, when he was actually doing his PhD, and I used to visit the nanotechnology lab for learning some software. So we used to have our lunch together in some corner near the canteen, and that's where we shared various other things also. And I must say, he has another hidden talent, which probably many of you don't know. He shared with me that time that he used to write Telugu poems in his college days. And so you can say that he's just an all-rounder. And he's not just a role model for the institute or for the colleagues. He is also role model to my own family, children. We keep quoting him often for all the methodical and organized way of life that he always needs. And I must say that I will also take this chance to thank Lakshmi, who has been of immense support to my own family when I shifted to the colony. And I also know the kids right from the beginning. I wish Satya very best and but relaxed life, not a busy life, I would say. Let him take a break and enjoy life as well. Thank you.
Professor Sri Ganesh Prabhu.
Okay, so Satyaji, first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. There are two things I want you to, already a lot of things have been said about you, so I will not repeat any of those. You are a very nice person. You have been my morning walking buddy. So it has been always a great pleasure meeting him in the morning and discussing so many different topics. The two things that I want to you, and just now one was highlighted, that all your entire life story, that you must write it in what English as well as in Telugu, that is your mother tongue, and Google Docs, your speech to text. So you don't have to type everything. It will just type it. So it will be very fast for you. And you already know all those things. So he has been from such a humble background that he has reached here. And you can see that if you look at your whole life, today so many luminaries and award winners have been, are here just for the respect and love that they want to show for you. So that will tell you, and this is a very inspiring story for all the generation of the students, new people that who will be coming into, that you are standing like an example for them. It's a role model. So I think you should write your life story. And second is, he's a great poet in Telugu. He writes very good poems in Telugu, and right from the time is school, I think just in the college. This aspect of his is not known, but I tell you, but I tell you that in Andhra, there is one particular magazine is there, which is the equivalent of that magazine is Satyagatha in Marathi, that if you publish something in Satyagatha, then you are considered as a big, already an established person, author, novelist or whatever in Marathi literature. The same thing is there in Telugu literature, and he had published in those. So that tells you that the level at which he had reached. And so you please continue this intellectual thing of yours. It's a very creative thing. So I wish you all the best, and already all your technical things, everything has already been said. It has been a great pleasure knowing you and interacting with you. You have been great help to us, even to our group, and please continue to do so. I wish you a very long, very happy, very healthy life. And Madam, Lakshmi Bhabiji, and you both and your entire family, I wish you a very long, very happy and prosperous life. Thank you so much.
May I know if Shri Sangam Sina is online? Can you speak few words? Sangam Sina. Shri Sangam Sina on Zoom.
Hello. Am I audible?
We can hear you. You can please proceed.
Yes. Hi Satya, I cannot, because of the network issue, video, I am just blocking my video. I'll try if I can. Yeah. So, thank you for friend since 1996 when I joined TIFR. You have been, and your family, we grew together, my family, my kids, and I've been benefited by your help, by your support, and just to tell the others, which nobody has touched so far, that your the support you have given to many people in the Mandala colony. I can name n number of people whose kids still remember you, come to you and touches you, your feet, for something which is done as a passion to see people around grow well, get educated. Bar Singh's family and many others, there are innumerable people. So somewhere you and your family has been a support to and help to many of the members of TIFR, maybe outside also, because I'm not aware of those people. but with your nature, it must have been a lot of people. So the qualities which you had this means to help others is most means what to say. You can be proud of that. We know that there is a person who can help anybody at any point of time, day, night, morning walk. I've been missing you. Unfortunately, I do not know. I do not have a buddy here. So, but anyway, so wish you and your family all a very happy retired life. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, Professor Rajdeep.
So, Dr. Satyanarayan and I did not have as much interaction as we should have, but I can recall an instance when I was a student here and we were doing an experiment. It was Professor Prabhu's course, and we had to rotate in labs for 3 weeks. And then that was the only learning ground by which we could learn how to operate real detectors. So you may not remember this, but it was with Professor Sudeshna Banerjee, 3 of us. We were operating in the new RPC lab, the new INO lab over there. And the person who was taking us around, I will not take his name, he's also retired now. He said, you can do whatever you want, but do not touch the high voltage without taking my permission, because otherwise Professor Mandal will kill me. But whenever Dr. Satyanarayana was there in the lab, so the other guy was Sharanya Ghosh, he's in IIT Hyderabad right now. Whenever Satya was there in the lab, he would say, no, you know what the no-go areas are. Unless you change it yourself, you'll never learn. So it was from there, we were given the confidence of knowing what the no-go areas are, and still if you cross it, you learn something from it. And recently when we started building one of our first detectors and there was an accident, I won't go into it, I think that came to my head. Of course, I had more overlap with your son because our offices were in the same floor in CERN when I was a postdoc and he was a student. But finally, I must say that given whatever we have heard about your documentation skills and what GRK mentioned when KGF first came out, I didn't know about the mafia there. I was really excited. I thought it was about the KGF experiment. And it was my cousin who was a lawyer who told me this KGF series has come out. And I was like, you have nothing to do with science. What are you doing talking about KGF? But then I heard it was about the gold mafia over there. But on a serious note, as a young member here, it's quite clear that what we now see in the world of chess, we see that there's a golden generation of chess where there are these 5 young kids in the top 10. It's quite clear to me now that the KGF generation in HEP was the golden generation, perhaps, of HEP in India. And at least we are inspired to at least strive to take small steps to at least be close to that. Thank you.
Vishal, yes.
टेंशन वाला काम सॉरी एक मिनट लिख के लाए
नमस्कार सबको। यहाँ उपस्थित सभी दिग्गज लोग हैं, उनके बीच में मुझे बोलने का मौका मिल रहा है तो मैं खूब धन्य समझता हूँ खुद को। और ज़्यादा हिंदी में तो नहीं बोल सकता हूँ, मराठी में बात करूँगा मैं। आजच्या कार्यक्रमाला उपस्थित सर्व प्राध्यापक, मान्यवर मंडळी आणि मित्रपरिवार यांना माझा नमस्कार. आणि आजचे आपले सत्कार मूर्ती डॉक्टर सत्यनारायण साहेब यांना स्पेशल नमस्कार. किती सुगत असली तरी कोठे ना संपणारी वाट असते, पण संपणाऱ्या वाटेसोबत जन्मणारी नवीन पहाट असते. तर साहेब आपल्याला सोडून जात आहेत, पण त्यांनी अशी टीम तयार करून ठेवले की ती पुढे पुढे चालूच राहील. तेव्हा आजचा निरोप समारंभ थोडा वातावरण थोडा हळवच आहे. सर्वांना सत्य सर आज निरोप देणार आहेत म्हणून प्रत्येकाच्या मनात काय ना काहीतरी आहेच. इथे आपण पाहिलं की सर्वजण काही ना काहीतरी आपल्या भावना व्यक्त करून गेले आणि तशीच त्यांच्याबद्दलची ही बांधिलकी आहे ती त्यांनी एवढ्या वर्षात जमवलेली, त्यांनी कमवलेली ही सगळी संपत्ती आहे की आज रिटायर झालेले लोक पण, म्हणजे जे 22 वर्ष पण रिटायर झाले ते पण सुद्धा इथपर्यंत आले ते त्यांच्या प्रेमापोटी आलेत. आणि हे त्यांनी जे केले, सर्वांच्या मनावर जे राज्य केलंय ते त्यांचा खूप मोठेपणा आहे. आणि आम्ही खूप स्वतःला धन्य समजतो की त्यांचा सहवास आम्हाला लाभला. असे ते मनाने खूप मोठे आहेत सत्य सर. आज सेवानिवृत्त होत आहे, तरी पण ते जर सेवानिवृत्त होत आहेत तरी पण त्यांचे जे काम करायची पद्धत आहे, नीटनेटकेपणा आपण सर्वांनी पाहिलाच आहे की अंधार झाला तरी ते कुठे पण हात घालतील आणि सांगतील बाबा ही फाईल इकडे आहे, आता हात टाकून देतील. एवढं त्यांचा काटेकोरपणे लक्ष असतं प्रत्येक गोष्टीवर आणि ते त्यांनी केलेलं आहे. तसेच आणि आता एवढं काम करून त्याला स्वस्त पण बसणार नाहीत, कुठे ना कुठे कार्यकुशल राहतीलच, कुठे ना कुठे कामं करत बसतील. तर एवढंच सांगतो मी की बाकीच्या लोकांनी भरपूर बोललेलं आहे. आता मी खूप त्यांच्यासमोर छोटा माणूस आहे, तरी पण माझ्या फॅमिलीतर्फे व माझ्या कुटुंबातर्फे मी त्यांना खूप खूप शुभेच्छा देतो. आणि एक सांगू इच्छितो की ते जे एवढं कार्यतत्पर आहेत तर त्याच्या मागे एक मोठी पॉवर आहे की त्यांच्या सौभाग्यवती या मनाने खूप चांगल्या आहेत. कारण आपण कॉलनीत पाहिलं की कोणाला पण विचारलं की सत्यनारायण सर आणि त्यांचे मिसेस, नाही मॅडम बहुत अच्छा मॅडम आहे, खूप चांगल्या मॅडम आहे, आम्हाला हे करतात, म्हणजे विचारपूस करतात. माणसाने विचारपूस केली पाहिजे तसं त्या प्रत्येकाची मनापासून विचारपूस करतात. आणि त्यामुळे त्या सर्वात परिचित आहेत कॉलनीमध्ये. तर मंडाळा कॉलनीत पण होत्या, तिथे पण तसंच होतं, इथे आल्या तरी तसंच आहे. खूप खूप धन्यवाद मॅडम. आता एक खंत त्यांना राहील आणि आम्हालाही राहील की जो गणपतीचा सीझन येतो तेव्हा सत्या सर आणि त्यांची फॅमिली आम्हाला घरी बोलवते सर्वांना गणपतीच्या वेळी. आणि त्या दिवशी सर्वांना स्नॅक्स वगैरे, इडली, ते चना ते सर्व म्हणजे असं मायेने बोलवून आपल्याला खाऊ घालणं हे खूप आमच्यापेक्षा ते जास्त मिस करतील. सही आहे. ठीक आहे. असंच आहे. असो काही अशी फॅमिली, चौरंगी फॅमिली खूप सुंदर आहे, चांगलं आहे आणि माझ्या शुभेच्छा त्यांना आहेत. आणि त्यांचं उर्वरित आयुष्य हे सुख समाधानाचं, समृद्धीचं जावो ही मी ईश्वरचरणी प्रार्थना करतो आणि माझे शब्द बोलतो. जय भीम.
धन्यवाद विशालजी. I'll very quickly read out some messages. One from Professor P.N. Bhatt, who retired from DHEP. Dear Satya, hearty congratulations on your very successful service to TIFR. 40 and a half years. That must be one of the longest, if not the longest service by anybody who served TIFR in the past. I wish you a happy, peaceful, and above all, healthy retired life. Enjoy without looking back. You have done very well, and your services will be a guide to emulate for the younger generation. I always
very appreciative of your sincere, wholehearted involvement in the projects you were assigned, and that was the primary reason for their success. Such a unique quality is hard to find in the present generation. You can be justifiably pleased with your services to the department as well as the institute in the general. God bless you and your family. I'm afraid I may not be able to make it. However, my best wishes are always with you. If you happen to plan a trip to US, please visit us in Huntsville, Alabama. Similarly, your own friend, Dr. Hemant Adakar, ex-TIFR member. It's unfortunate I cannot attend this function. Satya and I had a camaraderie of almost 40 years, dating back to the days of KGF, nucleon decay experiment. Satya always had the extra curricular angle as early as 1987. He took me to the lecture by Professor Sri Hari of University of Buffalo on AI. I guess the lecture was organized by IET. I am not going to hop on the contribution of ASSET and IEEE. The qualities that impress me about Satya are his industry, his eye for detail, and moreover, his ability to act as a great team player. I am sure I am echoing the feelings of the entire nucleon decay experiments team. I wish Satya the very best for the future adventures. A word about his ever smiling wife, Lakshmi. I still remember breakfast of Pesa Rutu Dosa, so we will come for that. I hope to meet them in person very soon. Last message, this is from our friend Dr. Suresh Kalmani. Dear B. Satyanan and Mrs. Lakshmi et al., due to unavoidable prior commitments, I am not able to attend. I am 1 year junior to Dr. BSN. So my first day in KGF in 1984, I met Dr. BSN in the Champion Lab, and he was testing the RAM card size of 50 centimeter by 50 centimeters. So he's talking about the bubble memory that Professor Mondal just mentioned. So the purpose of telling you this is that in the initial days, the electronic work was hardware electronics and more hardware related work. He is a hardcore hardware engineer and guiding teachers who were collaborators from Japan. We all worked for 4 major experiments: proton decay, CERN experiment, D0 and INO, which involve numerous hardware activities. BSN's contributions are enormous. To cut short, BSN is a dedicated, hard-working person, whether it is building detectors, arranging conferences, listening to talks, or even talking for hours. Though we had some professional differences at workplace, we always had healthy discussion, whether it be official, personal, or family-related matters. I think I had a good senior person like Dr. BSN all along my journey in TIFR, and I wish him a healthy life and would be happy to see him helping the students from colleges, universities outside TIFR after his retirement, and would like to congratulate Mrs. Lakshmi for her patience and taking care of Dr. BSN and their family endlessly and fruitfully. Suresh Kalmani. So I'll say, okay, so I think I will represent all the younger generation, all the INO members who we were not able to call all of them here. So you have been an inspiration, you have been an encouragement. So you have always put in a lot of confidence in the next generation. That is why we could build all the things that we have built here in INO in TIFR. So thank you for all the things. There are many more things I could say, but I'll cut short here. So thank you for all your guidance and encouragement. And we will definitely be missing the guidance that you have always given us. I wish you a very healthy and very nice second phase of the life for all the family. Okay, thank you very much. So now let us begin with the felicitation. So can you, yeah, so Ravindra, Darshan, you want to go there? So I urge Professor Guchet to welcome both of them with flowers. Yeah, Professor Kajuri, please welcome Mrs. Lakshmi. Yeah, Professor Govinda Majumdar. No, I'm calling. So Please felicitate him with shawl and shriphal. No. And Professor Kajiri Majumdar, please felicitate Madam here. Yeah, Mandakini Madam, please quickly come here. Madam. So I want to call Professor Narsimham. Professor Narsimham, please come here to hand him over the memento. Professor Mondal. Professor Mondal. Gifts of all kinds. And Mrs. Swapna Mondal. I am calling Mrs. Swapna Mondal here. Yes, yes,
My side, for helping the archives in all possible ways. You know, I got meetings in various committees as convener of the Founders Day Committee, as chairman of the SIBRA. You know, his enthusiasm about culture, cultural programs, you know, has been amazing. A big support always, Satya. I wish you all the best. One sentence. How I was dependent on Satya when Namo was in the lab. I call him, and he doesn't answer. To whom the person I should call next. I will definitely take the phone and find out what his number is and give the message. That is.
Former director mentioned, why can't you make a small hole between your two rooms so that it becomes very easy for me to access?
Wish you all the best, okay?
So, Dr. Satyanarayana. So now it's your turn. Yes. So you.
Actually, before we hear from Shutta, because we have learned who is Sutta and what is his contribution. We knew it. Again, we are brushed up our knowledge. But as you know, I don't want to say that word, but still I am saying every successful man, there is a. So we want to call her family. Any of you can come and share your. Before we ask Sutta to say anything, I think it would be nice if you say all the bad things about Sutta. We have heard all the good things about Satta, say the bad thing. I know this. If somebody just spends a good amount of time outside, what kind of load wife takes, she has a lot of complaint to do, I know. But I request you, if you want to share anything, just share with us. Then we'll ask Satta to speak.
Thank you. I think there's a long list of bad things. We'll take it over the snacks, but I'll basically concentrate on the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed dads, colleagues, and dignitaries, and cherished guests, thanks a lot for for making it here. Today we gather not only to bid farewell to truly scientific titan, but also to celebrate the life and legacy of a truly remarkable individual, my dad. After an inspiring 41 years of service, he's finally trading his lab coat for retirement slippers, and what a journey it's been for him and for us. So everybody has talked about it, from the gold mines of KGF to the 4 feet of high energy physics at TIFR Colaba. My dad's career has been nothing but legendary. In fact, you could say that I owe my existence to his time at KGF, and it's a scientific twist on the Rocky Bai story. So less of punches and more of protons. Growing up, my dad wasn't just a father, but he was also a very nice, good mentor to me. And a guide, and his love for science was very infectious. I remember he got a small book which had some experiments that you can do at home. That was my first learning and gateway into science. And from there, I've kind of come a long way myself thanks to his dedication. And you've been my teacher from get-go, and from that and for that I'm eternally grateful. So. But let's not forget Dad's another superpower, which is his sense of humor. So even in the face of adversity, he's always making jokes and kind of keeping up the spirit. He also, whether it's roasting my Facebook posts or cracking jokes in the lab, Dad's humor is always there. And then I want to talk about his, people have talked about his scientific career, but I want to talk about his family as well. Despite being one of the first in his village to come out of the family of few farmers and get into physics and pursue higher education, he never forgot his roots. He always was the first first to mentor people around his family as well as the other around the globe with his with this outreach programs that people talked about. And your kindness and generosity has no bounds. And if that was not enough, he decided to take things one step further and pursue PhD when he was juggling with the chaos of teenage tantrums and family life. So talk about dedication or dedication. And then so he has also dedicated his life, almost 2 decades of his life, to ASET Colloquium, and this very room in which he used to conduct those, and so it will definitely miss his presence. But I'm sure he's going to contribute to many more of these outreach committees, outreach programs around the world, around Mumbai, around the other parts of India. And so by knowing you, I know your retirement wouldn't mean you're slowing down. You're basically picking up pace. I'm sure you'll inspire more college student kids and have more seminars on HEP and detectors like you always do. And you'll definitely impact, your impact on the generation will only grow in the next second innings, as people said. So here's to you, Dad, the ultimate scientist, mentor, and a family man. May your retirement be fulfilled with a lot of love, laughter, and relaxation, as people said, but I know you'll be far from that. But as far as your laptop, well, maybe it's time to take a break for it as well. So hopefully it deserves some break too. Yeah, I know I should keep it there, but I don't know. Okay, but additionally, to conclude, I want to also thank everybody who came here from different parts of India, ex-colleagues and people here in the department, for shedding light on his work. Your words have shed more light on his incredible journey, and I've learned a lot from your stories as well, which I didn't know about. So thank you so much for your kind words and sharing your insights into the remarkable person my dad is. I'd like to also thank my father-in-law and my mother-in-law for being here and for for always supporting our family. And my wife isn't there here, but she really misses his retirement and wish she could be here. So at the end, congratulations, Dad. Your legacy will continue to inspire generations to come and us. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us on this very special day. Today, we celebrate almost 41 years of pure dedication, hard work, and scientific innovation, which was done by Dad. Over the years, I think we've all had the privilege to witness not only professional accomplishments done by him, but also just the person that he is. And I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that the way he interacted with his colleagues, his students, or just anybody is what will stay with us the most. I remember coming as a little kid to visit his office, and I always felt a very immense sense of pride walking next to him or sitting in his office or being referred to as Satya's daughter. I remember that he never missed consciously greeting everybody at the entry gate or anybody he met on the way to his lab, the way he set up his environment, the way he interacted with his colleagues, the respect he got in return. And then eventually when he moved into his own office, had his nameplate on the door. And most of all, he built all of that for himself, even though, like Srinidhi said, he grew up with not much at all. I spent several weekends where he spent countless hours working and doing what he loves the most. And I think that's a core memory that's going to be with me forever. Over the years, he's always tried to inculcate these characteristics of hard work, dedication, and committing to what you like the most. And I think both Srinidhi and I found it very easy to understand the value of what he said, only because he led by example every single day. So he strives for perfection and strives to live by his principles, even after, whether that's professionally or personally, even after so many years and experiences. He always says it's hard for him to say no, and that he considers a weakness. But I think his TIFR community, all of you, have really known that about him and have been his friend, at times his mentor, I'm sure, and colleagues, and supported him and vouched for him wherever you could. We can't say thank you enough for being his family and through that, our family as well. Thank you so much for coming here, and we grew up literally in front of you and we wouldn't have it any other way. As I often say to him, this is just the beginning of something new. It's just a simple job change. He's already so ready for what's coming next, and we're also excited to see what's in store for him. As Mandakini Aunty and Prabhu Uncle already mentioned, he has a passion and he's very good at writing poetry and also singing. So now that we've outed him, I hope that he feels the pressure to make some time for his passions, which come after science. Thank you.
Now it is your turn, so the floor is yours. You want to speak? जो कंप्लेंट है बता दीजिए।
नहीं, मुझे जाना है इनके साथ। Thank you so much. Thank you everyone, and thank you for your wishes to our family. And मुझे कंप्लेन करने का कुछ नहीं है इनके साथ, तो क्योंकि होता था बचपन में बच्चे के साथ, अगर उनको तबीयत ठीक नहीं रहती थी, लेकिन फिर भी इनको काम करने का बहुत एक कीड़ा है इनके ऊपर, कीड़ा बैठे है, बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में। या बिकॉज हम दोनों ही बच्चे को लेके, मैं कभी कभी मेरे फ्रेंड्स के पास एक बच्चे को छोड़ के दूसरे बच्चे को हॉस्पिटल लेके जाते थे, फिर ये इनको फोन करते थे कि ऐसा हुआ। मुझे इतना भी नॉलेज नहीं था, बिकॉज ऑफ आई केम फ्रॉम स्मॉल विलेज, सो दैट्स व्हाई आई डोंट नो एनीथिंग। केजीएफ में तो थोड़ा तेलुगु पीपल थे, इसीलिए मैं तो सर्वे हो जाता था, लेकिन यहाँ आने के बाद मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता था कि हिंदी बोलूं, इंग्लिश बोलूं, क्या बोलूं, कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आता। मैं रोती थी जाके अस्पताल में, इतना मैं उनको टाइम मतलब मिलता है, लेकिन आउट ऑफ बॉम्बे में भी रहता था ज्यादा करके, आउट ऑफ कंट्री में रहता था। इसीलिए मैं किसी को भी क्या बोलूं, कुछ लोग फ्रेंड्स तो बहुत हेल्प किया, मैं हमको बहुत बहुत हेल्प किया। कभी भी जाते तो श्रीनिधि में जाती थी, मैरिज में भी जाना होता तो हम दोनों ही जाते थे। फिर बोलते थे कि आपका हस्बैंड कहाँ है, आपका हस्बैंड कहाँ है, कहाँ पिताजी, उनको सारे लोग वही पूछते थे। बोलते थे नहीं वो तो नहीं आ पाया, वो बिजी है, वो आउट ऑफ बॉम्बे है, आउट ऑफ कंट्री है, इसे बोलते थे। बहुत मैरिज हम लोग अटेंड किया, दोनों ही अटेंड किया, हम दोनों ही अटेंड किया था श्री और में। इवन सिंधु सा भी नहीं आती थी हमारे साथ, उसको भी इतना नहीं था, वो रहती थी घर पे, लेकिन ये आउट ऑफ कंट्री, आउट ऑफ बॉम्बे रहता था हमेशा। लेकिन अच्छे से टाइम निकाला। आप सब लोग को बहुत 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 धन्यवाद। इससे मैं ज्यादा नहीं बोल सकती हूँ, मुझे रोना भी, इमोशनल भी मुझे भी नहीं होता है। लेकिन मेरे फ्रेंड्स को, मेरा कोलाबा में, TIFR में जितना भी फ्रेंड्स लोग को, सबको एक एक ना पे सबको मैं धन्यवाद कहना चाहती हूँ। मुझे बहुत प्यार किया कॉलोनी में भी। मैं छोटा सा काम, हाउसवाइफ हूँ, लेकिन छोटा सा काम करती हूँ घर पे, लेकिन मुझे इतने सपोर्ट दिया मेरे सारे फ्रेंड्स। इसके लिए मैं तो, मेरे पास एक वर्ड भी नहीं उनको ऐसा, एक धन्यवाद बोलना तो स्मॉल वर्ड से है, लेकिन बहुत बहुत उनको तो मैं प्यार देना चाहती हूँ। लेकिन कभी भी आए, हम लोग के घर पे आइए, गणपति में भी आप सब लोग आइए, कहीं भी रहेंगे तो हम लोग बुलाएंगे आपको, चना खिलाएंगे, इडली खिलाएंगे, सब कुछ खिलाएंगे। आप सब लोग आइए प्लीज। थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
Yeah, please show me Sindhuja.
People have said when dad was away for 6 months, like enjoying Italy and US, my mom would take care of 2 kids. She raised 2 kids on her own. And also when dad was doing his PhD, as she would have complained, but there are more complaints, but she took care of us. So from all of our family, my wife, father-in-law, daughter, mother-in-law, and everyone from her daughter-in-law as well, I would like to give a small token of appreciation to the best supporting rock star, Mrs. Lakshmi P. Shetty.
एक वर्ड बोलना बोलती हूँ, मैं डॉक्टर ला को बहुत मिस कर रही हूँ। प्लीज, बिकॉज ऑफ शी इज डूइंग her MBA, so that's why she couldn't come. Thank you so much for everything.
No, thank you very much for your support. Because of your support, today Satta is what he is. Okay, now your turn.
So, आज मेरा नंबर लग गया. Actually, I find it very, very difficult to summarize my close to 41 years of professional experience, professional life in maybe 14 minutes. And it's even more difficult to adequately, thank hundreds of all of you and those who even not here in the audience, which made my professional career, professional life in the institute a very memorable one. I know I will not be able to name all of them, but honestly, I can tell you that I remember all of them forever, because many of you said many, many kind words to me. I don't know if everything I deserve them, but it was all possible because many, many colleagues actually contributed to what is attributed as my success. It is actually in the experimental groups, as you all know, it's always a heterogeneous skills of people, each one of us contributing to the success of an experiment. So at first, let me thank all of you for that kind words, and I hope I deserve all of them. Now, let me little bit look back and reflect on the time that passed by. And maybe I'll try to give a little low coverage on things that many of you mentioned, but I want to really start all the way to 1960s. I come from a place which is quite a backward place by today's standards and those standards. And the only mantra that the parents would typically have those days is give birth to as many male children as possible. Okay, no family planning and all that. Okay. The reason is that if you give birth as many male children as possible, they'll all go to fields and earn money and then you will survive. Okay. And to some extent, this was the socio-economic situation in those days. And that was the time when I was born. I had another 4 brothers and 2 sisters. I was the youngest of all. I still today can't really understand how my mother used to feed all of us with almost non-existing income. We didn't have field. We didn't have any income coming from. My father was a land, you can say, is a farm laborer. And very little he used to bring. It's a great, I think my mother was the biggest MBA I probably know, how she did this during that time. And also the role of my elder brother and elder sister in bringing up this family was phenomenal. Without them, I would not have stood here in front of you. And as I said, the school was never a priority in those families in those times. And with a great difficulty, probably my family allowed me to go to school. The school is, of course, the primary school, which is in the village. You don't have chapel, you don't have proper clothes, you don't have books, you have one slate and one slate pencil. So that is all that you have. And in summer, I mean, it was very hard, of course, to go to school and come because you didn't have chapels and so on. And one of my teacher used to put me on the bicycle and he used to walk instead of bicycling, he used to kind of take me to the school. Okay, somehow I managed to do the up to 5th standard. And so there was a general body meeting in our family and said, okay, enough of it. You have gone up to 5th standard. Now both ho gaya. So come back and, do the thing that we all do, which is for me. But my elder brother stood up his thing. He said, look, in our whole family, nobody went to school, but at least he deserves to go to school once because he's doing well. And, just at least for my sake, we will work a little more hard, but let him go to school. And of course, nobody agreed. And really, it went on for a long time. I still remember those fights. And ultimately, somehow people said, okay, somehow. So that was a great thing. And that is how I can never forget my elder sister and my elder brother. Once again, all that happened is because of them. So I started going to school. And luckily for my family and unluckily for me, the so-called Jayandra movement started in Andhra and all the schools were closed for months together. And my father was very happy. He said, good, the schools are closed. Now here are the 2 buffaloes and please now start your business. So every day I used to take buffaloes and go for grazing. And there used to be sometimes a culvert going through. I couldn't get in. I used to climb on the buffalo. Sometimes the buffalo doesn't like, so it used to throw me off and so on and so forth. I thought life is just gone. That's the end of the story. And luckily, the strike ended and then I was back. And also, it so happened that I happened to be selected by the AP state government to go into some special school in the sense, very, very nice school, which is close to current days Andhra Pradesh capital, Amravati, near that. And I think that school changed my life forever. And, we were taught by very experienced teachers and excellent principal, a lot of extracurricular activities. And most important of all, that is where I learned about technology. That is where I learned about science. And even more importantly, I thought I learned that how closely the science and technology and engineering and etc., they're all related. I couldn't really distinguish them at some point of time. Some of you, especially older colleagues, will remember Soviet Union used to publish nice books, green-colored books, MIR publications. It used to have electronics books with vacuum diodes, and so on and so forth. I never understood all those, but I was very excited to read them. And that was the time when I thought that, my field is not arts, my field is not commerce, my field is science or engineering. I don't know what really struck me. And even today, when I go to teach, many of you mentioned about that I go and teach on the weekends. This is what I enjoy teaching them, the interdependence, or, how these are so connected, how the same LHC experiments depended on accelerated technology and detectors and electronics for 60 years, maybe 50 plus years, to prove what Peter Higgs said was right. And the same experiment, how it became a hotbed for dozens of new technologies and made the new technologies to be invented to run that experiment. How somebody sitting in 1983 calculates what is the computing power that is going to happen in year 2009 when you switch on the experiment and you see that it is sitting right on the dot. I couldn't really disentangle these relations between science, engineering, and technology. Why there are so many accelerators in the hospitals rather than in science lab these days? Why all the detectors that me and my student does in the lab is also the one that gets used in Tata Memorial Hospital when I go for mitochondrial, what is that called, MPI, right? Etc. and so on. So it's a very, very, very interesting days that I spent on the school. And then of course I went to an engineering college where I think many of you mentioned that is where I somehow got hold of all this poetry, singing, going every day for a movie and so on and so forth. And you can really imagine all that excitement has gone in different world. But then suddenly I realized that I'll go on the street if I don't study well. And then we all become very serious. And those were the days of exciting days of digital electronics coming on board. And more importantly, microprocessors came on the horizon. Indian Institute of Science, which is very close to Anantapur, where I studied, was a fantastic opportunity for us to travel and mingle with my professors who are that time doing quality improvement program or PhD program in IISc. And that is, again, something which I think made me ready to knock at the door of TIFR. And that was a big, big, big opportunity for me. When I saw an ad coming up in TIFR saying that we are looking for research scholars in the computer science group, I applied, and when I received the telegram, those days are all telegrams, right? That you come so and so. I didn't even know how to come to Bombay because that was the first time traveling out of our state. So someone of my roommate cycled me for several kilometers to nearest station. I had, I think, not more than 10-20 rupees in my pocket. And I don't even know today how I could come to Bombay. And it was a very historic day when I landed in Bombay. There was a big flood and, power failed, etc., all that. And I was thinking that, I'll stay in some hotel, etc. People laughed at me when I was standing at Afghan Church BST station. And the only person of my connection to TIFR was my senior, who was at that time an engineer in NCS DCT. Later on, it has become NCST and then become CDAC. He told, don't worry, I'll take care of you. And when I came in the morning and asked about him, he said, no, he recently resigned and left. I really felt as if the earth below my feet had just, sort of gave up. So that is how I went, and directionless, standing somewhere, and people came and said, where are you going, etc. Then they helped me. Then next day morning, I came to TIFR, sitting on the same sofas which are in the first floor, A block next to lift. And I was called at 9:30, so I was there at 9:30, and I was called for interview in the evening. And President Narasimham, incidentally, I told many people that he is probably the most influential person in my life after my father, because he's, as President Mondal said, he was the one who took me in, who was the person who hired me. And today I'm standing here just because he hired me. He could have not hired me, right? And that I would have spent a different life somewhere. I don't know it's good or bad, but the point is that after my father, he was, because next 41 years, all my whatever, the age that I see in front was actually due to him. I don't know other people, but Professor Tonwar, he was the chairperson of the committee, and the most distinguished person, I could remember, was R. Nagarajan. He took me to the end of microprocessors, microcontrollers, interfacing. I just couldn't. In fact, he said that I want to see your end. The way he typically speaks. And my whole body was full of chalk and so on and so forth. And at the end, when he said that, when are you planning to go to KGF, etc.? I was really, really excited. And then he said, there is one Dr. B.K. Chatterjee, go and meet him. And this was just a few, literally, I think a month after ICRC conference that happened in Bangalore. I wish I could have joined at that time. But the point is that I never looked back again. And the KGF was, I think many of you mentioned, it was the most golden period of all of us, not me, all of us, those who have, all of us lived, all of us started our lives as young bachelors. I was 21 years when I joined KGF. And what a place. And lot of it, credit must go to Dr. Chatterjee. The way he treated us, the way he gave us freedom, and of course, fantastic experiments. In 1980s, Professor Mondal mentioned that when I came in, I saw a big boulder in the center of a phase 2 experiment lab. And starting from there, I think that is what gave me 21 years. My PI, my boss, had so much trust on me. Every month he used to come to KGF. From Bangalore airport to KGF, he would ask me, bring the car, I'll come to Bangalore airport, I'll pick him up, and then he will ask me, what are the list of things that are done? And he, here in the technical services and central workshop, gets all the things that we write, and then he comes there and things come here. And again, when you come back, again, there are a list of things. And he didn't feel that 21-year-old, what will he do after all? I mean, he was in college yesterday and today he was in proton decay experiment. I can never, ever forget that kind of trust and belief. I don't think any organization would have, okay? And that freedom and that delegation of, work, I think what made all of us today in TIFR, some kind of, people said leaders, but I will say somebody who can actually lead the rest of the teams forward. And it was obviously a fantastic period, as I said. And then when we had to come to Bombay, I think Professor Mondal has done a fantastic explanation about how those things were and so on. And of course, besides both Professor Mondal and Narasimham, I also want to thank two others from whom we learned, not me, again, many of us learned a lot of technology related issues in electronics. Professor Hayashi, Oshio Hayashi, and Kawakami-san. There are also Ito and Miyake, these two other kind of scientists. So starting from, whether building detectors or developing electronics, remember there was no microprocessors when you went in on the day one. Then, building all this, and Professor Mondal mentioning about many pioneering work, including developing operating system on bubble memories, etc., were exciting. Even today's standard, I feel that is a top ranking work that we all got involved. So somebody mentioned, by the way, maybe as of today, I'm on the last serving KGF PCN. So when we came to D0, Professor Mondal mentioned that the trip to Fermilab was very, very exciting. The electronics head, D0 head, you remember, I think Boris Baldin. Professor Acharya was there with me, and then he said, I'll introduce him to you. So he came and then said, what do you know? I mean, electronics. Barely, I just built the first CAMAC system and that was running. I said, I mumbled something saying about, CAMAC and so on. Oh, do you know VME? And do you know VxWorks? Do you know VLSI and so on? I mean, they're all Greek and Latin. I said, I don't know, but I learned them. He said, he was not sure. 6 months, what do you learn? What do you develop? But when I was leaving, they arranged almost like a farewell party after 6 months. And Boris Baldin stood up and said, you are the one who frustrated me the maximum last 6 months. Every time I give a work, you finish that and come back and ask what next, like that. And the guy who is supposed to develop the VLSI board in HIRA is that, the guy, I replaced him and then started building the entire work. So it was a great challenge. I think from TIFR, when the kind of training that we get when we go there, I think we really stand out there. And, and that is how he said that everybody kind of look up and the kind of quality of work that we are trained in TIFR. So once again, I must tell at least one example. This was the time when I was developing this very nice, very sophisticated, I would say today's standard, a test system for testing, the D0 scintillation counters and also the DAQ program and so on. Professor Narasimham So I gave a scheme of things, and he said, okay, this particular module, this module, this module. Okay, let us buy from LaCroix and, set it up quickly because we need. Then I was pleading with him, no, sir, I want to design this board. I never designed a CAMAC board and so on. But Mondal stood up and said, he wants to design things. I want to support this. Let him design. Let us see what happens. He is the one who is to speak our language of engineering. And again, that particular moment I cannot forget. And he's the one who is to take me to international conferences. And he is to book a room, sharing with me. He doesn't have to share a room with me. And he used to introduce all the experts in RPCs, electronics, everything. Today I'm here because he really he took me to all those places and gave me confidence, gave me, the kind of sort of opened up vistas where I can stand up and operate. I really owe to both of them a lot for what I am today. And many of you said many kind words, but all of these belong to both of them, right, today. So again, same thing, went on to HO, he talked about, CMS, the fiber scanner, the pigtail scanner, the XY scanner. By the way, so the first asset colloquium in 2002, when I took over, was on XY scanner. All my colleagues have contributed enormously to this work. So wire source scanner, test beams, Cosmic, Mandakini talked about this. So thanks again to all the CMS collaborators. I want to come quickly to the last part. More than half of my professional life I spent on INO. Practically, I think Professor Datar mentioned, practically from the day home, September 28th, 2001, both me and Professor Mondal went to Crawford Market. I still have my logbook in which I've written, bought samples, glass samples of Modi, Asahi, and various samples. And below I said, I have set up a system, set up an experiment to measure the bulk resistivity, etc. 2001. And rest all you heard, building so small piece of RPC to 1 feet by 1 feet, 1 meter by 1 meter, 2 meter by 2 meter, engaging with industry, getting that, it was not at all an easy task. He talked about student program. He talked about, the extensive physics reach of that experiment actually. And we are not building an experiment. We are actually trying to build a facility for future, right? And all the electronics, many of my colleagues who are here, Mandar, Ravindra, and many of the other people who have left, we were attempting to build, in fact, we built the whole thing to read about 4 million detector channels from RPCs, which are timing of an order of about a nanosecond. I started my life with about 300, 400 nanoseconds rise time to 1 nanosecond level, right? And what we did not build, what is left to be built, huge engineering challenges, tunnels and, civil, mechanical and all those things, the outreach campaigns about which people talked about, industry collaborations. But it is so sad, it is really so sad that we have to lose all our love, all our labor, for such a big experiment called INO. Hundreds of people, I remember each one of the students, close to 50 students who have graduated, and all of them are, of course, exceedingly doing well. And more than important, in my sphere of work, I also guided a large number of engineers who are doing very well today. But the real love of all of us has not, come to reality. So that was the saddest moment with which I leave this institute. Even today, it has the USP, it has still a physics that is not ruled out by others. It has the engineering readiness. It has the great, fantastic graduate program that we built and trained people. Every student was trained in hardware. It's not just only simulations or physics analysis. But that is really, really sad thing. But I want to, once again, in this context, want to thank Professor Mondal, who led from front for all the initial stages of problems. He inspired. Every time I become very, very depressed, I used to look up his face and say, he's still leading. I can't say back. When he moved me out of CMS during the time of a peak, what he told is, Satya, you and me cannot be in more than 2 experiments, cannot be more than in 1 experiment. So I am out of everything. I have only INO. I want you to be out of everything and you have to be only INO. And both of us never went and took up any other challenge other than INO. All of our lives we spent on that single experiment. After that, when Professor Datar took over, It was again, already there were issues all sitting on the, written on the wall. But the way he kind of asked me to go ahead and, do all the engineering that is required, all the freedom that he gave, this, sense of kind of delegating things, it was a golden moments for, I never ever thought of that the life, in spite of bad things, court cases, activists coming and talking all that. You give a lecture in some Karaikudi or Madurai or somewhere, and after the talk is over, sir, so you are going to build a tunnel in which you are going to put nuclear waste, etc. It used to be very frustrating. What I'm telling all the things, but then still people cannot distinguish between neutrino and neutron. And but we never gave up. But ultimately, but I want to thank every one of them, all the collaborators, 25 institutes. It used to be bubbling with activity. I'm telling you. I mean, it was the best peak time. Even today, I look back and say, I have to thank all these people who gave me that that opportunity to lead from the front. And they, most important, the trust that they bestowed on me, put more responsibility on me. Because if somebody says that, look, you are the guy who is supposed to deliver, either deliver or get out, then the person who sort of bestowed the responsibility, he or she can sleep, but I can't sleep, because that is the responsibility I took on my head. And I enjoyed every moment. People talked about asset. Of course, it was a great opportunity for me to learn. I met and interacted and learned a lot from almost 1,000 speakers over a period of more than 2 decades. My wife Lakshmi was mentioning about a lot of their sacrifices, which I don't think anybody knows other than she. My daughter was to go to okay. She wants to go to dance class. She was barely a few years old. As time always has it, yeah, dance class is at Friday 4 p.m. Now tell me whether I should come and organize asset colloquium at Friday 4 p.m. or I should take her, the little one, to Cup Parade and drop her in the school, right? I chose the asset. So because of that, she learned how to go on herself as a young kid on the TFR bus, get down at the stop, walk 1 kilometer to Mecca Tower, and then attend to the class and come back on her own. Maybe that was good. She became a very strong lady today. And but the fact remains, I still wonder why my wife has not given me divorce. And IEEE, INO, TIFR provided fantastic opportunity for interacting with thousands of students. And as one of you said, it was a kind of a word that I coined, part of regular engagement with those who matter for the future. It has become identified with my way of doing. Some people used to copy this and on Facebook, and everybody used to go and tell, no, this belongs to Satya, so you cannot use these words and so on. Anyway, I know I've been talking for a long time. Indeed, why I started my thing today, talking about my family background, which I of course feel very proud about it, because my father always used to say the only mantra for you, I mean, he was obviously literate, but used to say the 2 things. One is hard work, the other one is loyalty. So because he was a laborer somewhere, so the loyalty is what he knows about it. Hard work is something which brought our entire family, my parents, my elder brother, sister, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, all my family, my extended family is almost 100 people, and my wife, my both children, even my daughter-in-law, who is of course not from our own family, but the spirit at which, the hard work with which she does, is somehow I felt that it is all those 2 mantras of hard work and loyalty is which brought us today. Many times I felt myself, I wish I was a little bit more intelligent, because the output is hard work, the work that you do into the IQ. So if I had a little more IQ, maybe a little less work would have helped, but it was not the case. My IQ was close to 0, so the hard work had to be that high. So at the end, I really feel proud to grow from that little village, from son of a very, very poor farm laborer to standing here. TIFR is I can't say what it is to me. It was my dream at one point in time. Now it is my TIFR. No matter where I go, it will remain something with me forever. And I'm sure my parents and all those, my elder sister, my elder brother, and they're all there somewhere. They will feel very proud of me standing here and talking to loud ones here. I hope at the end, I inspired some people, younger people. When I go and attend a conference in Italy, some girl coming and saying, "Sir, you are such a great person. You changed my life," etc. Then I had to say, "No, but where did I meet? I never met you." "Oh, you don't know, sir. In our lab, all tables has your thesis book as a Bible. So printed copy of your PhD thesis is Bible for all of us. We learned RPC from you." What else? I don't think I have to worry about my pension and my bank balance. These are real great things that I really learned from them. I was surely inspired by many young students whom I talked to. I enjoyed many great moments in TIFR. As Mondal mentioned, yes, there were a few very sad points at time. I cried myself. Sometimes I said, why I don't deserve this? This was the question that I asked. I had 2 legs, I had 2 hands, I had 2 ears, just like others had. But somehow I don't know what was the reason that something maybe which it should have come in my way, it didn't come. Doesn't matter. It's all at the end, life is like that anyway. So we all smile during the farewell. We are not supposed to say bad things, even though my wife said something. That is because Manoranjan. He said, obviously, I loved my life at TIFR thoroughly and learnt a lot immensely. And I also spread this little bit to my family and my village. And today also my family, my people think that I'm a little bit learned person. Hopefully, I also contributed a little bit to the institute and its activities. And if you go to my Facebook, you will see I do what I like the most and I'm being paid for it. That can only happen in TIFR. So once again, I thank you, all of you, for your encouragement and support and help. And as I mentioned before, I did not take names of all individuals, only with a fear that I will surely miss many more names than I will take. I wish you all great success in your future endeavors. Please let me know anytime if I can be of any help. And finally, I want to thank my family, especially my wife, for her patience and support. As I said, it's really a wonder how she manages still and bears with me. I have a large extended family in my village. My daughter-in-law could not be with us. I don't know if she is able to hear in the YouTube with us today, but also both of my in-laws are here, and I want to thank all of you. Thanks a lot. I will never forget my life at TIFR. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
So, we'll wait for breaking 40. I would like to thank Chair DHEP, the DHEP members, TIFR members, Dr. Satyanarayana, his family who have been here, all the dignitaries who were there, the canteen staff and the AV staff, and all the people who supported us directly and indirectly. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you both, Ravindra, Mandar, and also Manoranjan. They have been doing this for last couple of months, and so much work that you have put in.
So definitely we have moved up somewhere, so please bear with us.
No. Nothing you think. Yeah, I know.
So let us all break for tea, high tea at the West Launch Terrace. Now we should get going.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Let me shake your hand and give you a
So we can all start moving outside West Canteen Launch Terrace. All audience on Zoom, we will be closing Zoom. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much. And so we will be missing you on the tea.
Everything.